Although Ming-che was eager for blood, he remained painfully aware of the disparity in numbers. The enemy cavalry numbered in the thousands, while their own pavilion guards, Beijing garrison, and other defenders barely reached a fraction of that. The young lords and their entourages were little more than burdens rather than real fighting strength. After sending away decoys, soldiers dressed like him to confuse the enemy, and messengers requesting aid, Ming-che was left with only a few hundred men he could truly rely on. With a sharp whistle, he signaled the cavalry to regroup and retreat to camp. Their swift withdrawal caused the Oirat and Tatar horsemen to hesitate, and though they didn't pursue, they kept their distance, circling like wolves. It was clear they hadn't given up. As soon as they dismounted, Gao Qianhu and He Qianhu came forward, bowing deeply. Your Highness killed more than 10 men single-handedly. Such courage deserves admiration. It was thanks to your coordination, Ming-che replied earnestly. Without the support of your troops, no amount of martial skill could have saved me. He Qianhu shook his head. No, Your Highness. For a first taste of battle, you were decisive, commanding, and unflinching. That's true talent and real courage. Ming-che offered a modest smile and waved it off. You flatter me. But he couldn't deny the shift in the soldiers' eyes. They no longer looked at him simply as a prince. Now they saw a warrior. How are our casualties? He asked. Gao Qianhu's face darkened. A few shield men have broken bones. 8 cavalry dead. More than a dozen seriously wounded. Many others sustained lighter injuries. Our supplies are running thin. Arrows, spears, everything is wearing out. If reinforcements don't arrive soon. Ming-che nodded grimly. If we rush, the closest help, Liaodong Dusi, Guangning Zhongwei, or even Shanhaiguan, can arrive in a day. 2 at most. Send my orders, he said sharply. All families are to hand over their best supplies, medicines, provisions, anything. For the next 2 days, everyone eats the same rations. No exceptions. We survive together. And those spoiled young masters, any trouble from them? Yabai quickly replied, No, Your Highness. They've shrunk their necks like frightened quails. Good. If any of them still try to stir trouble, execute them on the spot. He continued rapidly, issuing order after order. Clean up the battlefield. Finish off the dying. Recover all usable weapons. Make sure the dead are treated with respect. We brought them out, we bring them back. Prepare a list. I want a gift delivered to each of their families. If anything happens to them, Thuja, make sure they're cared for. He turned back. Boil rice. Keep it simple but filling. Double the night watch. Stay alert. Prepare for night attacks. Night blindness plagued many of his soldiers, a result of poor diets lacking vitamin A. Animal liver could help, but it was scarce. The nomadic Oirat and Tatar soldiers, who lived on meat, didn't share this weakness. That made night attacks a very real threat. Later, after all tasks were assigned, Ming-che sat quietly outside his tent, unable to sleep. He watched the stars, his body still sticky with blood that stained his armor and soaked the hem of his robe. He had killed for the first time. He could still feel the sensation, his spear piercing flesh, the rush of hot blood in his hands. The metallic stench clung to him. Yet, he felt no fear, only clarity, and a strange exhilaration. Good kill, a necessary kill. Raising his hand, he held it up to the moon like he once did with iron lotus seeds between his fingers. He had been repressed for too long. The palace had taught him restraint, but war taught him release. He must not lose. In war, if you lost, you died, just as he had in his past life. Thuja approached softly. Your Highness, it's late. Ming-che smiled. Afraid after today? Thuja shook his head, but admitted, I didn't see the battle from the center, but when you returned, man and horse both covered in blood. I was terrified. Do you still want to ride out tomorrow? Ming-che exhaled deeply. I have to. I have the skill to survive. This is my moment to seize. Thuja's eyes widened slightly. Then he knelt. Then I will follow your Highness to the end, as your sword and shield. Ming-che lifted him up with a pat on the shoulder. Good, but tomorrow may bring reinforcements. For now, just keep those pampered fools in check. Just then, Jinsong arrived. Your Highness, Master Shi requests an audience. Let him in. Shi Rueda entered and bowed deeply. Your Highness, allow me to be of use. I will pose as the third prince and act as a decoy to draw the enemy away. Sun Mingche studied him. You realize you'll likely die. I have only loyalty to offer, Shi Rueda said calmly. I may never have another chance to serve your highness like this. They don't know what I look like, he continued. If I don brocade robes and ride out under protection, I can escape toward Shanhaiguan. They'll take the bait. Sun Mingche chuckled. A bold move. Dangerous, but clever. If it works, you'll be remembered. Do you dare? I will die for your highness. Shi Rueda declared. That night, 6 cavalry units split off from the camp, each riding in a different direction, spreading confusion into the night. The real third prince remained behind, calm, calculating, and waiting for the next strike. The Oirat and Tatar cavalry likely never imagined that his highness wasn't among those 6 decoy teams, Gao Qianhu remarked, admiration flickering in his eyes. But it puzzles me, he added. The Oirats and Tatars, though both offshoots of the Mongols, have long been at odds, and yet they appear to be cooperating here. Sun Mingche let out a cold chuckle. Cooperation? Hardly. They're merely using each other. Burigud is ambitious. He wants our land, but his forces are too far from Liaodong to act alone. The Tatars, being closer, are more agile in this region. So naturally, they strike a deal of convenience. That's why we're in this mess. Political complexities beyond that weren't his concern. Intelligence, counterintelligence, those belong to the cabinet guard. If such matters reached the court, they were for the emperor's ears, not his. Even if he did know, he had to act like he didn't. A scout rode up and dismounted swiftly, saluting. Report. The Tatar and Oirat forces have camped 20 miles out. No signs of movement yet. It appears they've split their numbers. Sun Mingche nodded. Keep watching. Prioritize safety. Report any changes at once. Yes, your highness. This was still Dakian's territory. They weren't far from a garrison. The enemy shouldn't be lingering unless they had a reason. And they did. They were hoping to seize Sun Mingche before reinforcements arrived, to use him as leverage. But once those reinforcements came, their window would close and the trap would spring. He Qianhu hesitated, then gestured to an attendant who brought forth a small wooden box. Your Highness, these are signal fireworks used by the palace guards. If we are overwhelmed, we'll do everything in our power to escort your Highness to safety. But if we are separated, light this. We'll fight through fire and blood to find you. Sun Mingche accepted the box solemnly. Thank you, Qianhu. May we never need to use them. The atmosphere grew heavier. Outnumbered, outmatched, and still awaiting aid. The weight on their chests was as real as the armor they wore. I'll oversee the weapons resupply and baggage myself, said Gao Qianhu, rising. Then let's visit the wounded, Sun Mingche offered. They've endured more than most. I wouldn't dare refuse. In a tent for the injured, chaos reigned. 2 imperial physicians worked in a frantic haze, their young apprentices half collapsing from exhaustion. The air was thick with the stench of blood, waste, and boiled medicine. Groans and cries wove through the space like an oppressive net. Sun Mingche's brow furrowed immediately. Are we short on hands? Then conscript the attendants of those pampered young lords. Put them to work. The wounded are soiled, the air is foul. How are they to recover like this? The chief physician looked helpless. We're running low on water, your highness. We need it for medicine and meals. We weren't prepared for this. Sun Mingche sighed. We must end this standoff soon. He paused, then spoke more firmly. Do your best to keep the place clean and the men tended to. If you need extra hands, I'll get them. Just ask. Also, make this known. Every wounded soldier will receive 20 taels. Any man disabled will receive 100. And if someone falls in battle, I will personally ensure his body returns home. His family will receive 500 taels in compensation. This is from my own purse, not the military's. The room fell silent. And then word spread fast. For many soldiers, Loyalty was a luxury. They served for food, for coin, for survival. To hear a prince promise such sums and a proper burial moved them deeply. Even in death, their families would be secure. That was worth fighting for. Just then, a scout rushed in. "Your Highness, the enemy approaches." Sun Mingqi's gaze sharpened. "Thuja, armor me." Moments later, he was mounted, armored, and at the front of the formation. Dust clouds rose in the distance. Sun Mingqi drew his bow, laying a spear across his lap. He inhaled slowly. The martial skills of the Tang sect weren't learned for show. He took aim. 3 arrows loosed in rapid succession, silent blurs cutting through the sky. They vanished into the swarm of enemy arrows and struck true. All 3 piercing enemy throats before their owners even registered the attack. 3 cavalrymen collapsed to the dirt, lifeless. A chorus of cheers erupted behind him. "Third prince is a master archer." Sun Mingqi gave a modest smile, then knocked another arrow. Each kill was a blow struck to protect the men behind him. He emptied his quiver, each shot calculated and merciless. The Oirat and Tatar cavalry faltered. Their return volleys were expertly blocked by Sun Mingqi's shield soldiers, who stood like a wall of iron. After 3 failed charges, the enemy still couldn't pierce the formation. Then, the enemy commander, a Walla leader, rode forward and shouted something in Mongolian. His men responded by hurling several objects toward the Dacian camp. Heads. Severed heads. Chinhu's expression twisted in pain. He lowered his gaze, unable to look. "Our men from last night?" Sun Mingqi asked softly. Chinhu nodded. Sun Mingqi's jaw tightened. "Retrieve the heads. And later, search the battlefield. I want their bodies found. They died for me. I won't let them rot in the wilderness." Then, raising his gaze to the enemy commander, he added coldly, "Is he trying to intimidate us or provoke us? If it's fear he's trying to inspire, he's dreaming. If it's provocation..." He gripped his reins tightly, the veins bulging on his hands. Then he succeeded. "I swear, his head will be the one I use to honor my fallen."
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Sun Mingqi signaled to the soldiers to make way for him. He led 200 cavalrymen and stood opposite the leader. With a flick of his wrist, Ma Shan pointed directly at the tip of the man's nose. The man's eyes widened in surprise, and he said something else. Although Sun Mingqi couldn't understand Mongolian, he could guess what the man was talking about by looking at his expression. It was nothing more than a comment about how he, a child with a yellow mouth, went to the battlefield even before he was a baby, and whether he could hold a weapon. Snort. "A child with a yellow mouth? Wet. Can I handle weapons? I am your grandfather. I still want your head on my head." Sun Mingqi called a man from Baihu who could speak Mongolian to come over and gave a few instructions in a low voice. The 100 households' eyes lit up, and they immediately stepped forward and loudly explained Sun Mingqi's meaning in Mongolian. After hearing this, the enemies on the opposite side had anger on their faces. The leader had a cold face, rode his horse forward, unsheathed his saber, and pointed in Sun Mingqi's direction. The two looked at each other from a distance, and for a moment, sparks seemed to fly. I don't know who made the move first, or maybe they both urged their horses forward at the same time, and they were fighting together. This man's skills are indeed much better than those Sun Mingqi killed yesterday. But no matter how high he is, he can't beat him. The horses and sabers collided with each other, sparks flying and clanging sounds. The leader of Nawala was also secretly shocked. He really didn't expect that this boy, who was young and didn't look very strong, could actually have such strength. A horse spear weighing 180 kilograms was heavy in this boy's hands. The weapons collided, and his wrists went numb. No wonder the lives of so many good men were injured yesterday. It turns out there's such a monster boy in the Han army. The two exchanged a few more moves. Sun Mingqi caught the opportunity and stabbed him away. The leader of Nawala quickly raised his knife to stop him, but he was forced to retreat step by step with both men and horses. Sin Mingche's favorite horse Zidian also knows how to bully the weak and avoid the strong, and he actually bit the opponent's horse with one bite. Chief Walla's horse was frightened and took 2 steps back. Zidian immediately approached. In this way, the leader of Walla lost his strength and was unable to block Sin Mingche's horse. Sin Mingche's wrist sank, and his sharp edge swept across. The Walla leader quickly dodged, but still couldn't completely dodge, and one of his ears was cut off by the sharp blade. Seeing that their leader was injured, the Aura cavalry immediately swarmed over. Seeing this situation, the cavalry led by Sin Mingche also rushed over. The 2 parties fought together, and the leader of Walla had escaped under the cover of his guards. "It's such a pity that we couldn't take off his head," Sin Mingche said angrily. With the horse in his hand, he stabbed and swung at will, knocking another enemy off his horse. Kill. Blood splattered. The blood spurting from the carotid artery can draw a high arc in the air, and the limbs will twitch a few times when they are separated from the body. Shield soldiers and spearmen have also joined the battle. The battlefield is a millstone for grinding flesh and blood. Use weapons if you have them. If weapons are useless, nails and teeth are also their weapons. A cavalryman's saber cut off half of the shield soldier's head, but his arms were tightly held by the man's body. As soon as he paused, a spear was pierced into his body, and 2 infantrymen tore him off his horse. They obviously don't know each other, but they fight like enemies for many lives. A large amount of sweat streaked across his brow, almost falling into Sin Mingche's eyes. He shook his head, and his horse circled, sweeping the 2 enemy soldiers off their horses. If he kills one more cavalryman, he may lose 1, or even 2 or 3 infantrymen. These soldiers are all his great heroes. The soft armor on Sin Mingche's body was soaked with blood, and the blood on his head was dripping down the stem. When he held it in his hand, it was fishy and sticky, but he could no longer smell the smell of blood, and even the grass under his feet was soaked in blood. There were birds circling in the sky, carrying crows, smelling the strong, fishy smell, and arriving. Third, young master, someone is coming from the west. He Chinhu rushed to his side and shouted, "It's ours. Your Highness, set off fireworks." This, Your Highness, is bad news. Even if those Aura and Tatar cavalry couldn't understand other Chinese words, they still remembered the word, Your Highness. They are here to arrest that His Highness. In an instant, all the cavalry rushed towards where Sin Mingche was. What? Their Highness is here. Didn't His Highness run away last night? Maybe this is true. The shouts of the Walla cavalry were all incomprehensible gibbering in Sin Mingche's ears, but he could understand the fanatical light in those people's eyes. It's not like looking at a person, but like looking at a pile of gold as big as a person. Chinu's heart sank. The minister is guilty of death. Sin Mingche raised his hand to block the incoming saber, took out the firework from his arms in a hurry, took 2 steps back from the horse, let Chinu block it for him, and put the firework up. The fireworks were specially made and were dazzling even in the daytime. They exploded into a big north and stayed there for a few breaths before dissipating. Before the word could be finished, a similar firework exploded in the sky to the west. The 2 bright north characters echo each other and can be seen clearly even if they are several miles apart. The reinforcements are here. Reinforcements are really coming. Brother, hold on. Our reinforcements are coming. Great. The soldiers of Dakian were overjoyed. Even those who were nearly exhausted before, they all regained strength. If you persist a little longer, you will win. Looking over there, the Auras and Tatars both looked gloomy and hesitated. Should we fight to the death or withdraw now? Judging from the momentum, it was at the moment when he is exhausted and I am full. Sin Mingche raised his arms and shouted, and the soldiers immediately pushed back. It was really killing people. Their heads were rolling, and their blood was flowing like rivers. Finally, the combined cavalry of Aura and Tatar withdrew hastily, really accompanying his wife and losing their troops. Sin Mingche refused to give up. He bent his bow and arrow without aiming, and shot directly at the enemy troops who were escaping in a hurry. The arrows are still in vain. It's a pity that the distance is too far and the bow power is insufficient, so we can't keep a few more enemies behind. Third Highness. He and Chinhu came on horseback, looking equally embarrassed and worried. If he hadn't made a mistake, how could he have allowed so many cavalry to surround him? Fortunately, Sin Mingche was very skilled in martial arts and was unscathed. Otherwise, he would have been completely to blame for his death. Sin Mingche wanted to raise his hand to wipe the sweat from his face, but when he lowered his head, he saw that his hand was covered with blood, so he had to give up. He laughed and waved his hand nonchalantly. It doesn't matter. He Chinhu, you see. The matter is over. I'm fine. Don't take it to heart. If you have the time, why not go and see which side's reinforcements came first? I should be grateful. In the blink of an eye, horseshoes were clattering, smoke was billowing, and reinforcements were in sight. I'm waiting for help to arrive too late. Please forgive me, Your Highness. The hundreds of cavalry in the front are wearing the uniforms of the pavilion guards, and the thousands of cavalry in the back are people from the guard station. The first one should also be the guard of Chinhu, and the other one who looks at the armor is a commanding officer. Shurueda followed behind, covered in dirt, his head broken and scrawled with a white cloth. His body looked injured, and the knife marks and blood were visible to the naked eye. The person who apologized was the leader. The two teams met, and the commander Qianshi looked at Sin Mingche several times, thinking he was concealed. I have met Your Highness. Your Majesty, Guangning Zhongwei, is in command of Xiongyu. At the local level, the highest military officer is the commander of the capital. The next level is the commander. The next level is the commander, and the next level is the commander. A commander has about 6,000 to 10,000 soldiers under his command, and the number varies depending on the jurisdiction. Sin Mingche quickly checked the number of people visually and found that the number of people brought by Xiongyu was around 4,000. They should be the ones with more soldiers in hand, so they could bring so many elites. Thank you, Xiong Qianshi, for the timely rescue. Sin Mingche said humbly. Don't dare. Your Highness is brave, courageous, and martial arts is superb. He has killed more than 100 enemies. I really admire him. The two of them were polite, and Sin Mingche turned around and ordered, clean up the battlefield and prepare to break camp. The bodies have been cremated. Write down the names and take them back. Calculate the number of casualties, down to their names and places of origin, and send them to me within 3 days. After all, I promised my brothers that if I want to pay a pension out of my own pocket, I have to do it right. He Chinhu responded with fists clasped. After all, his brothers were also sacrificed. Moreover, he himself was deeply impressed by Sin Mingche's heroic spirit in this battle. He Chinhu even felt very honored to obey some of Sun Mingche's instructions. Xiongyu glanced in surprise. After all, in his mind, no matter which cabinet guard is arrogant to anyone other than the emperor and his superiors, why should he be so polite to this prince? Are you still willing to do what you're told? Xiongyu couldn't help but take a high look at the young third prince in his heart. Judging from the way Sin Mingche was fished out of blood, he was not the kind of sour scholar who liked literature and disliked martial arts all day long. On the contrary, his skills are outstanding, he has killed countless enemies, and he is still doing well. This is his ability. Military generals are sympathetic to people with good martial arts skills. If nothing else, they will be more favorable to them when they see them. Therefore, Xiongyu is respectful and polite to Sin Mingche, not only because of his status as a prince. His behavior also won the favor of the soldiers. Sin Mingche returned to the camp first, cleaned himself up, and took off his light armor. Looking at the red marks on his body caused by armor in the past 2 days, Thuja's eyes were red. Your Highness is really suffering. Sin Mingche said with a smile. What's the point of suffering? You should really admire me. And out of the battlefield 3 times, Your Highness didn't even get a scratch on his skin. Isn't that serious? Thuja nodded quickly. His Highness is extremely powerful. He bravely champions the 3 armies. Sin Mingche put on a round-neck robe he wore every day, briefly combed his hair, and prepared to set off on horseback to rest at Guangning Zhongwei. Guangning's central guard was also appointed by David, and the commander's surname was Chun. Commander Chun knew that Sinmingche and his party had just experienced a fierce battle, and everyone was exhausted. Instead of setting up a grand reception, he ordered people to prepare hot water and let them freshen up and rest for a few days. Tell the imperial doctor to prepare 2 more pots of soothing soup. Those dandy boys who don't dare to kill chickens will probably have nightmares at night after this incident. Sinmingche ordered. Thuja said cautiously, "Then, would you like a bowl, Your Highness?" Sinmingche thought for a while. Although he felt that he was not frightened, if he was the only one who didn't drink, it would be too unsociable and hard-hearted. So he nodded and asked Thuja to bring him a bowl. I took a comfortable hot bath and put on soft and loose Songjiang cloth underwear. The fire wall in the room was burning warmly, and 2 braziers were lit. Sinmingche leaned on the couch, and Shan Song took the dry muslin towels heated by the brazier, changing them one by one, slowly drying his hair, combing it through with a wooden comb, massaging the acupuncture points on his head, and then put your hair up. Sinmingche fell asleep. He had been tense for the past 2 days, and now he could relax his nerves. Tiredness came to him immediately. While he was dozing off, Sinmingche took care of the assassins who came to kill Yuanxiu in the game. He thought to himself, fortunately, these assassins did not appear when he went to the battlefield, otherwise the designated mission would have failed. Just as he was thinking about it, Sinmingche suddenly discovered that his skill level had increased a lot. Since reaching level 500, which is the level of his master, Sinmingche's skill levels have been stuck for a long time since he had nowhere to ask for advice. He thought that level 500 would be the full level. Who would have thought it could go up? What has increased the most is the basic internal strength, which has risen by a full 50 levels, followed by basic punches and kicks and basic parrying, both of which have risen by a full 30 levels. Basic Qigong has been upgraded the least, only by 10 levels. As for other basic skills, they have not been touched. Once the basic skills are improved, the cheats can also be upgraded accordingly. Sinmingche was happy, but also a little confused. What do you do to get upgraded? After thinking about it, he went to the battlefield and fought for 2 days with real swords and guns. It turns out that using martial arts in real life can also feed back game skills. That's really great. Just when he was happy, Sinmingche suddenly smelled a fresh fragrance. During this period of time, the horses were exhausted, and they also experienced a surprise battle. Sinmingche really didn't eat well and didn't sleep well. As soon as he smelled this smell, he became hungry immediately. Your Highness, eat something to cushion your stomach before going to sleep. Shuesong brought a bowl of wontons with clear soup and stood beside it cautiously. I didn't dare to make anything for you, so I made some small wontons. The wontons are stuffed with shepherd's purse and shiitake mushrooms. The soup is made with our own chicken salt, with some coriander and chopped green onion. We also add white pepper, dried shrimp skin, and dried seaweed according to your taste. Your Highness, would you like to have a bowl first? A blue and white porcelain ocean bowl, with dozens or 20 thin-skinned and large-filled wontons floating in it, showing an attractive fresh green color. The reason why it is vegetarian is that the people below speculate on his appetite, thinking that after coming off the battlefield, he may not be able to eat meat and fat. So I chose fresh shepherd's purse, soaked the best dried shiitake mushrooms, and wrapped a bowl of it carefully and sent it over. Normal people will feel wilted for several days after going to the battlefield for the first time and cannot eat meat. But how can Sinmingche be an ordinary person? He seemed to be born for the battlefield. After eating a bowl of wontons, I felt full. Sinmingche ordered another portion of scrambled eggs with alfalfa sprouts and ate a bowl with pearl rice, and then he felt comfortable. Thuja, I'm going to take a nap first. Wake me up in 2 hours and tell me how the situation is now. Subordinate to obey. Your Highness, you and Xinhu have compiled the lists. This pile is for wounded soldiers, that pile is for disabled soldiers, and these ones are for those who have died. When Sinmingche woke up and washed up, Yabai came over to report. Sinmingche nodded. Has it been verified? Thuja smiled. I don't have the guts to verify the list given by Hichieno. Sun Mingche sneered. That's it. Go get pen and paper, I said. You write. Write on the list that so-and-so, from a certain place of origin, and who are his relatives, was injured, maimed, or died in a certain battle at a certain time and place. The third prince, out of consideration for his loyalty, will give a special pension of a certain number of taels of silver. Receive receipt. Make a duplicate. Remember to compare it when giving money. Once you've written it, bring it to me and I'll stamp it myself. This is also to prevent someone from embezzling Sin Mingche's pension money. After all, these soldiers have been with him through life and death. He is willing to give some money as a pension, but he is not willing to let this money fill Shuashu's granary. If the day comes when he can reach the great treasure, Sin Mingche will definitely skin those giant rats and cramp them. Thuja looked at the thick pile of lists, and his eyesight went dark. So much. He has to write it out by hand. Sin Mingche also saw Thuja's dilemma and let him go. Go and talk to Xiongyu and ask him to find some talented people to write for you. You're responsible for checking it. If there's a wrong one, I will ask you for it. Thuja nodded repeatedly, definitely not humiliated. After resting for a while, an attendant came to deliver a message. In the previous raid, Sin Mingche sent many people to ask for help, and Xiongyu was just the first one to come. Troops from other places may have been slower to arrive, but they are here now. Therefore, Sin Mingche had to go and receive him in person. This is a good opportunity for him. At least he can get familiar with these generals who hold heavy troops. In the fight for the throne, the Sacred Heart is very important, and military power is equally important. Otherwise, even if you put on the dragon robe, you won't be able to sit on the throne. Seeing everyone, Sin Mingche first expressed his humble gratitude and expressed his condolences to the generals who were tired of their work. Then he asked Xiongyu for help and set up a banquet for you all. The banquet surface in the army is naturally rough, but meat is also indispensable. The freshly slaughtered pigs and sheep are drained of blood, cut into large pieces, and simply smeared with a layer of salt. When roasted, they have a unique meaty aroma that only the freshest meat can have. There's also the whole stewed pork knuckle and the whole roasted leg of lamb, exuding the original alluring flavor. Drinking is prohibited in the camp, and Sin Mingche made no exception this time. What he drank was sweet honey water, which made these young generals unable to get enough of it. Hey, military orders are like mountains. Military orders are like mountains. Sin Mingche smiled. When we meet tomorrow, we won't be in the camp anymore. I'll treat you all to a drink. Enough of the best pear blossom, white daughter's red tube. It's my father's royal wine. I'll also steal it for you to try. Everyone present burst into laughter. Your Highness, once you say something, it's hard to catch up. Definitely. It's not easy for you all to come to our aid at Starry Night. In this way, I will act as a host and go buy some pigs and sheep with the people, bring them back to you, and let the soldiers have a good meal. It is a little bit of my kindness. Then let's do this for our respective soldiers. Thank you so much, Your Highness. Come, let's use honey water instead of wine and have a drink together. After a lively meal, the table dispersed. Sin Mingche asked Yaobai to go and called Xiongyu over in private. Xiong Qianshi, thanks to your timely rescue this time. I can't thank you enough. Let's save this little thought to buy Qianshi's soldiers this year's winter clothes. With that said, Sin Mingche pushed over a small box. The lid of the box was opened, and inside was a box full of broken silver, one or two pieces together, cast into a small square shape with a bright color. Xiongyu is also an experienced person. After visual inspection, it must be less than 1,000 taels. Sin Mingche really has no shortage of money. Not only does he have a salary from his father, but he also has a subsidy from his mother and concubine, not to mention that he can get a lot of money just by hanging up. That's why he dared to grant such a large sum of money as a pension, and also dared to spend 1,000 taels to add clothes to Xiongyu soldiers. Xiong Qian saved my life. This life-saving grace cannot be repaid with this little money, but now I can only take out this thing. Xiongyu refused repeatedly, but Sin Mingche insisted on giving. Could it be that Xiong Qinsher thinks that the life of my dignified third prince is not worth this 1,000 taels of silver? I don't dare. It's just that His Highness is extremely brave. Even if the official fails to arrive in time, he can still kill the enemy troops and remove their armor. How dare you say help? Next to him, Yabai was also persuading Xiongyu to accept it. Xiong Qinsher, please consider this a reward from His Highness. You cannot refuse this reward from His Highness. In the end, Xiongyu accepted the money. Then, on behalf of Guangning Zhongwei Ba Qianerlang, I would like to thank His Highness for the generous reward. Sun Mingche smiled and waved his hand. The weather in Liaodong is cold, with long winters and short summers. The men and women who defended the country and guarded the border also suffer a lot. I just gave them a little money to buy clothes for them. I don't want to reward them generously. The next day, I will go to Beijing to report on my work. I will be your host and have a drink with you. Xiongyu also smiled. Then, I would like to thank you, Your Highness. Being a military attaché is also hard. If you don't have any connections in the court, you never know when Shangfeng will be blamed. There is also the Ministry of Household Affairs. If there's no one to cover it, the food and salary allocated every year will be short of money. How can we fight if the soldiers don't have enough to eat? What about loyalty? Being friends with a prince is not a loss for Xiongyu. If something happens in the future, asking this prince to protect him will be worth it, even if he becomes a pawn in the other party's sect. What's more, Xiongyu didn't think that the third prince was someone who valued civility over military affairs. Do those civil servants still look down upon military generals? Pooh! If it weren't for us generals working so hard to guard the border, where would your civil servants be? Just wait for your head to move. Xiongyu accepted the box given by Sun Mingche, and the two chatted for a while before leaving. Sun Mingche does value generals. The army is the courage of a country. If the army is not tough, it can only cede territory to seek peace, cut off flesh and blood, and beg others to give it a peaceful night's sleep. But as long as the army is strong enough, the courage will rise. Just like the Han Dynasty, it can be said to be the highest peak of military strength. At that time, the envoys of the Han Dynasty were not afraid of death. When they went to the surrounding small countries, they were just looking for trouble, just like trying to make trouble, just to get the other party to kill them, so as to give the Han Dynasty army an excuse to send troops. Lulan, isn't this how the country perished? The country perishes with the weak, and the lonely Han perishes with the strong. But let the flying generals of Dragon City stay, and don't teach Huma to go to Yinshan Mountain, because they missed the power of the Han Dynasty. They called themselves Han people. I hope that once Sun Mingche comes to power, the Chinese people will not call themselves Han people, but be proud of being Qian people. Beijing, Royal Palace. Emperor Qian put down the secret fold in his hand, raised his hand and pinched the center of his brow. Huang Fengji, the emperor's personal eunuch, was very observant. Seeing this, he immediately asked the eunuch to change the tea. Your Majesty, would you like to rest for a while? Emperor Qian nodded and suddenly smiled. My eldest companion, my third son, is extraordinary. Huang Feng smiled apologetically. The Third Highness's sons and grandsons are naturally good. Emperor Qian shook his head with interest and tapped his fingers on the dragon table. That's not what you said. At the tender age of 14, he was able to face a surprise attack without panicking, commanded with control, and went into battle on his own, killing 3 in and 3 out. TSK, that's amazing. Huang Feng pretended to be surprised, and his eyes widened. Your Majesty, the Third Highness is so great. Yeah, I originally thought that the people below were specifically giving credit to him in order to please him. I didn't expect that the rewards from the cabinet guards were also worthy of the praise. The cabinet guards were only loyal to the emperor, so naturally they would not lie to the emperor for Sun Mingche's sake. It seems that I really raised a good son. Emperor Qian smiled and looked quite proud. Huang Feng rolled his eyes, as if he suddenly remembered something. Your Majesty, I heard that His Highness taught those dandies a good lesson, and many of them wrote letters back to Beijing to complain to their families. Emperor Qian sneered. A bunch of people with wine bags and rice bags and mud can't cover the wall. After taking these people away, Jing Xiaoyindu said that the security in the capital has improved a lot. What's the use of keeping these troublemaking trash? Lao San gave these people a good training, and even said that they would use these people to form a team and give me a drill. It seems that he really trained them with a deadly hand. Nothing can be made without polishing it. It seems that the reason why these dandy boys are dandies is because they were manipulated by their family members. After being trained like this by the third child, at least they can look good. Emperor Qian was very satisfied with Sun Mingche. Yes, it is a blessing for these children from the capital to be trained by His Highness himself. Huang Feng said this, but in his heart he was thinking about how he would respond to these powerful people next time. He received a lot of money. In a few days, the third child will be back. Send someone to talk to concubine Liang so that she won't be frightened. Emperor Qian was in a good mood. If your son is successful, it means your seeds are good. Concubine Liang's teachings are also good. Thinking about it again, Mingche's homework in the study was also very good. This son of mine is well-versed in both civil and martial arts. At the age of 14, it's time to join the court and take charge of politics. By the way, I remember that Lin Rahai is now the censor at Lantai Temple. Your Majesty remembers it well. Exactly. When the third child was a child, I met Lin Rahai several times and had a good impression of him. In this case, the third child has reached the age of joining the government anyway, so let him go to the Yashatai. Tell Lin Rahai to take more care of me. Son, Lin Rahai is now the right censor of the capital city of Yashatai. He is the fourth-ranked censor, which makes him the third in command. There are also the deputy censor of the third-ranked censor and the left and right censors of the second-ranked rank. His job has to be divided with Zhuo Qindu Yushir. If his political level is not good enough, he may be sidelined. Now that the emperor has assigned the third prince to Lin Rahai, his most important job is to familiarize the third prince with government affairs. Huang Feng quickly ran through the information in his mind. Seeing that the emperor was reading the book again, he whispered a few instructions to the lieutenant below. The emperors around him all wanted to issue clear orders, so it was better for him to go and let Lin Rahai miss him a little more. This Lin Rahai is the emperor's confidant. Lin House. Lin Rahai went home exhausted, constantly thinking about what the palace eunuch had told him. The third prince entered the court to listen to politics, but was assigned to the Yashatai. And let yourself take him? What does the emperor mean by this? The eldest prince went to Dali Temple to listen to politics. The second prince went to the Ministry of Rights to listen to politics. It was the third prince's turn, but he was shoved into the censor's desk by the emperor. Hiss! What on earth does the emperor mean? And now, the emperor has not established a prince. Originally, the eldest prince was the perfect candidate for the crown prince, as he was both direct and eldest. But he is too weak. For years after his wedding, he still has no heirs. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why the emperor did not make him the prince. In addition, the emperor may have felt that he was still young and capable, so there was no need to establish a prince early, as if he was urging himself to die early. This resulted in every prince feeling that he might have a chance. There was an undercurrent surging inside and outside the palace, as well as above the court. Originally, Lin Rahai, as censor from the censorship station Yukiandu, should have stayed out of the dispute, but now he was dragged into it by the emperor's words. Master is back. Jiamin came up to him with a smile. Seeing Lin Rahai's serious expression, he asked with concern, "What happened to the master? Why are you so frowning?" Lin Rahai changed his expression and said with a smile, "It's just a matter in the court, so I won't tell you and worry you. By the way, how is Dayu?" It turned out that Lin Rahai and Jiamin had been married for 17 years, but they only had a daughter last year, born on the Hua Chao festival. The couple loved her like a treasure. "You ate well and slept well today." Jiamin smiled. "There's still good news to tell the master." "Huh? What's the matter?" Jiamin's face turned red, her eyes flickered, and she whispered, I have it again." Lin Rahai was immediately overjoyed. "Really?" Jiamin blushed and nodded. "It was just a month before I was diagnosed. Please don't tell anyone." Lin Rahai was so overjoyed that she walked around twice and hurriedly gave instructions to the whole family to follow Jia Min first if anything happened. She also wanted to give the reward, but was stopped by Jia Min. "Master, the baby has just turned 1 month old. It's not good to cause such a big fuss. How about waiting until the baby is 3 months old and stable before rewarding it?" "Listen to Madam." The two of them sat down together, and Lin Rahai looked at Jia Min like a fragile treasure. Jia Min covered her lips and smiled. "Master, why am I so fragile?" "Hey, no matter how careful you are, it doesn't matter." Jia Min suddenly thought of something, and her expression darkened. "I don't know if the baby is a boy or a girl. It would be better if it is a son." Lin Rahai also sighed. There are only 3 generations of the Lin family, and when it comes to him, there's only one daughter in her 40s, so why not be in a hurry? But this matter cannot be rushed. It depends on fate. Thinking that his wife was also under a lot of pressure, Lin Rahai quickly comforted her and said, "Minner, it's okay. No matter you give birth to a son or a daughter, they are both our children. How can I not love her? It doesn't matter if I give birth to a daughter. At worst, one day, I will find a good family and do my best to entrust them to them." "Master," Jia Min's eyelashes filled with tears. Okay. Why are you crying again?" Lin Rahai hurriedly wiped Jia Min's tears. "Minner, you have to be good and give birth to our second child." Lin Rahai was very happy when she received such good news. For a moment, she even forgot about the business matter she had been thinking about before. So much so that when I received the greeting card from the third prince, I felt quite troubled. The third prince is back now. Holding the greeting card in his hand, Lin Ruhai felt quite incredible. "How come you didn't hear anything?" It turned out that Sin Mingche rushed back to the capital after a long journey. He went directly back to the palace without lingering and reported what he had seen along the way to the emperor. As for those dandies, they are still detained in the military camp outside Beijing. Therefore, almost all officials in the capital did not know that Sin Mingche had returned. After Sin Mingche came back, he just took a short rest and came to visit Lin Rahai the next day, which caught him off guard. "Come in quickly." Lin Rahai straightened her clothes, stood up hurriedly, and went to greet Sin Mingche. "I have seen the Third Highness. Quickly excuse me. I'm sorry to bother you. Master Yushir, to come and greet me." Before Lin Rahai could salute him, Sin Mingche supported him. "Master Lin, please don't be polite. I should salute you. I will accept your advice from now on." "I don't dare to use the word advice as a subordinate." The two of them walked into the hall, where the guest and the host took their seats. The young boy served them tea. Sin Mingche waved, and the little eunuch who followed him brought a brocade box. "I came back yesterday to see my father, who asked me to learn from you." He had a good-natured smile on his face. "Master Lin is so happy to have made the tiles. Your wife should be 3 years old this year, right? These 3 years old are virtual years that in fact, after February Lin Daiyu was just 2 years old." Sin Mingche opened the brocade box and placed it on the case. "In that case, let me give this long-life lock to your wife for your blessing. I begged my father to reward me for this, but I saw that the treasure was shining brightly. It was a piece of Hitian ruby the size of a pigeon egg. It was as bright as a coxcomb, with a grease luster. Its purple-red part looked like clotted blood. It was carved into the shape of a wish-fulfilling lock of longevity. It was inlaid with 5 color gems and engraved with bamboo for peace. Picture, as the proverb goes, jade hanging red is priceless. Although this longevity lock only uses such a small piece of jade, it is extremely precious just by looking at the appearance, not to mention the exquisite carving and the 5 different colored gemstones that are only the size of rice beads. These 5 gemstones are actually divided into blue lapis lazuli, white diamond, red coral stone, black dragon crystal, and yellow cat's eye stone strictly according to the color of longevity. There is no description of the color or appearance. This thing is not only precious, but also contains beautiful blessings. Lin Rahai picked up the longevity lock, looked at it carefully, stood up and bowed. "Thank you, Your Highness." There are many superstitious people in the world, and rich people even use treasures to save their lives. Lin Rahai's family has only one daughter for 3 generations, and she is also frail and sick. This treasure gift is really just right. Go get the young lady. Lin Rahai ordered to go down, and soon a nanny came over with a child in her arms, followed by 2 girls. This is my little girl. The child was only 2 years old. He was a small child with delicate features but a gaunt look. He was obviously sickly. The wet nurse hugged her and saluted Sin Ming-che. I have met His Highness. Sin Ming-che curiously approached and took a closer look. This is the legendary Lin Daiyu and Sister Lin. Although she was very young, no more than a toddler, Sin Ming-che felt that she was more beautiful than his younger brothers and sisters. She had an extraordinary charm of her own. She was indeed a fairy descended from the earth, different from others. The little girl stared at him for a while with her big black, grape-like eyes, then suddenly smiled sweetly. Your love is so cute. Sin Ming-che smiled and shook his head. If only I had a sister like this. Lin Rahai smiled and said nothing. After washing her hands, she personally hung the longevity lock sent by Sin Ming-che on her daughter. I hope my little girl can borrow His Highness's blessings and grow up safely. That must be possible. Sin Ming-che teased Lin Daiyu, who was still a toddler, and took the opportunity to touch the child's hand. It was less than 1/3 the size of his hand, and he could hold it up with one finger. He was a child. After that, he exchanged a few words with Lin Rahai, then said goodbye and left. After all, he didn't come here to say anything serious. He just came to say hello and give a gift. When you leave the palace, you will naturally report to the emperor when you return, although the emperor may not necessarily see you. However, it is one thing whether the emperor sees you or not, and another thing entirely whether you come to see him or not. Sin Ming-che had good luck today, and the emperor happened to have time to see him. You're back from meeting Lin Rahai? Emperor Qian asked him with a smile. Sin Ming-che sat at the bottom, seemingly casual. Yes, I have met her. The gift was delivered to her, and I also met the little girl from Mr. Lin's family. The 2- or 3-year-old child is particularly cute. I wish she were my sister. The emperor was surprised and said, How many younger sisters do you have? Sin Ming-che sighed. No sister can be as beautiful as the little girl from the Lin family. The emperor was very interested. Seeing that you like her so much, how about I give her to you as your princess? Sin Ming-che's eyes widened instantly. Father, she is only 3 years old. 3 years old. When she grows up and marries me, I have to stay in the palace and become a helper. The emperor laughed. I'm just teasing you. Sin Ming-che pretended to be shocked and patted his chest. Father, you scared me to death. Speaking of which, you are also 14 years old. It has only been 2 years since you got married, left the palace, and opened a palace. Have you thought about what kind of princess you want? Sin Ming-che turned his head and thought for a while. Father, this is putting my son in a difficult position. I have never seen many ladies of the family, so how do I know what kind of princess I want? However, the ones my father chose for me are naturally good ones. The emperor was non-committal and just smiled and said, Okay, go back and see your mother and concubine quickly. She has been worried about you for nearly 2 months since you left. Why don't you go back and comfort her? Then I went to visit my mother and concubine. I will retire. The emperor waved his hand and let him go. In Quanchun Palace, concubine Liang had been waiting for Sin Ming-che for a long time. My son, you're back. Are you injured? Did you have a hard journey? Concubine Liang took Sin Ming-che's hand and asked a series of questions. Although Sin Ming-che was amused, there were warm ripples in his heart. Concubine, Mother, I've been fine all the way. It's my fault that I'm worrying about you. I bought some local products in Liaodong, and I will ask Thuja to deliver them to you later. Concubine Liang pulled him to sit down at the table. His favorite dishes were already placed on the table. You don't need to bring anything. I'll be happy if you come back safe and sound. Come on, eat something. Are you hungry? What Sin Ming-che likes is the fresh taste, so there are only 3 meat, 3 vegetarian, and 6 dishes on the table, but all of them are his favorites. My mother-in-law still loves me. I ate comfortably until I was 7/10 full, and finally drank a small bowl of spring bamboo shoots and chicken soup. I put my chopsticks down from the side and told concubine Liang about the interesting things I had learned along the way, making concubine Liang happy. The palace servants cleared away the dishes, first brought tea to rinse their mouths, and then brought red dates and hawthorn tea to the mother and son, and then withdrew in a sensible manner. Concubine Liang hesitated for a moment and said softly, "My son, have you ever thought about what kind of princess you want to marry?" Hearing this, Mingche's hand holding the tea paused for a moment, and then he smiled and said, "Why did my mother-in-law ask me this question today?" "Who else is asking? Is your father the emperor?" "Yes, my father also asked me what kind of princess I want." "How did you answer?" Seeing concubine Liang being so cautious, Mingche chuckled. "Why are you so nervous, mother-in-law? I have never seen any ladies of the world, so how can I know what kind of girl to choose? Naturally, it all depends on my father." Concubine Liang held the veil in her hand and asked tentatively, "Then, would you like to meet the girl from your uncle's family? Let's see whether she suits your liking." Mingche thought for a moment and agreed happily. He knew that he was basically determined to marry a girl from Duke Ligua's palace, and it was very likely that she would be a concubine. After all, concubine Liang is not his biological mother. The Ligua family has reasons and needs to tie him more tightly to the Ligua family so that they can support him without any scruples. However, if she's a royal concubine, she must be the daughter of the eldest daughter of Duke Ligua in order to be worthy of this position. But the girl from my uncle's family? Concubine Liang breathed a sigh of relief, and her mood was obviously better. Exactly. She is your uncle's legitimate daughter. She is the youngest of the two brothers above. She is 1 year younger than you, and her color is also very good. Father, do you agree? I have already consulted your father before I dared to let her enter the palace. What I said on the surface is that spring has begun, and I want her to accompany me to enjoy the flowers. When the time comes, I will arrange for you to meet quietly." Concubine Liang pursed her lips and smiled. "Whether you like it or not, you will make it clear to me quietly at that time." Mingche's cheeks were slightly red, and he responded in a low voice. It was getting late. Mingche was no longer a child and could not stay in the harem for a long time, so he said goodbye and left. Returning to his bed, Mingche summoned the game screen again. Calculating the time, Yuan Shu, his injury should be healed. Yuan Shu, thank you so much, young hero, for your life-saving grace. My injuries have healed, and I'm ready to go. Yuan Shu, the people who are chasing me are people from the Tang sect. Mingche's heart moved. It's actually the Tang sect? The monotonous text on the screen is still refreshing. When you learn that the person chasing Yuan Shu is a member of the Tang clan, your choice is 1. Kill him and silence him. 2. Help him find out. Mingche moved his eyes and chose 2. Since I have helped Yuan Shu for so long, I might as well continue to help. Moreover, Mingche still remembered that when choosing a sect, Tang sect was a neutral sect. Therefore, there must be something hidden in it. Yuan Shu, since the young hero is a member of the Tang clan, you might as well go to the Tang clan with me to seek justice. Young hero, do you dare? The Tangmen in the game is located in the middle of Shu, thousands of miles away from Yangzhou. But a game is a game after all, and switching maps only takes about 10 seconds. The carriage stopped on the Shu road. Mingche and Yuan Shu passed by the tea shop and bamboo forest, and when they arrived at Fufeng Lake, they were stopped by a group of people. Tang Zhiji. Huh? Yuangsu, did you really come to the door? Hand over the secret book, and I will spare your life. Tang Zhiji. Huh. Is there a little brother from the same school? As long as you don't report us, we'll let you make a copy of the secret book when you get it. How about it? Your choice. Complicit rise up to resist. Mingche naturally chose the latter. It was still a lackluster battle animation. All Mingche could do was calculate his internal strength and blood volume, and mechanically press the active skill and breath adjustment buttons to restore blood. Tang Zhiji had higher HP than him, so the battle lasted for a while. During this period, Yuan Shu killed the 2 warriors brought by Tang Zhiji. There were sparks and lightning all the way, slashing, stabbing, and combos. Mingche and Yuan Shu moved forward, killing Tang Bujua, Tang Leopard Group Samurai, Fire Group Samurai, and finally arrived inside the Tang sect. Tang Wubbing, the head of the Tang sect, be bold. Who are you? How dare you break into Tang men? Yuan Xiu. I just want to ask, if someone in your Tang sect kills innocent people at will and kills everyone in the sect to get the secret book, do you care or not? Tang Wubbing, head of the Tang sect, is this really true? What are your credentials? Yuan Xiu. Credentials? I am the proof. The entire Yuan family was wiped out using the Tang sect's hidden weapon techniques. On the way here, we were intercepted and killed several times. Tang Wubbing, head of the Tang sect, is this really true? Please wait a moment. Our Tang sect will definitely give you justice. Tang Wubbing, the head of the Tang sect, invincible. How is this going? Tang Wudi, brother, this is what happened. Tang Wudi approached Tang Wubbing, as if he wanted to say something private. Tang Wudi suddenly attacked Tang Wubbing. Tang Wubbing, the head of the Tang sect, Tang Wudi, brother, I can't believe it. Tang Wudi, I think I should be the head of the Tang sect. Only I can make Tang sect flourish. Tang Wubbing, Tang sect leader, what you call carrying forward is to plunder other people's secret books. Tang Wudi, that is their honor. Boy Yuan, be wise and hand over the secret book, and I can spare your life. Tang Wubbing, head of the Tang sect, you are so ambitious. You two young heroes, come with me. As he spoke, Tang Wubbing touched it somewhere, and a big hole appeared on the wall. He covered the wound and got in, and you followed closely behind. Tang Wubbing, Tang sect leader, don't let him catch up. Now, this has become a parkour game. Mingxie needs to choose left or right, up or down according to the prompts on the windows that keep popping up. The end point is the Tang sect's organ hall. Tang Wubbing, you two young heroes, there are so many traps here that Tang Wudi can't come in. You two young heroes, please don't act arbitrarily. Tang Wubbing, the head of the Tang sect, if Tang Wudi didn't attack me by surprise, he wouldn't be able to hurt me. After my injury improves, I will take the two young heroes out to kill the generals. I will give you justice. The rest is a common revenge plot. Mingxie only needs to stay idle and fight a dozen minions. After the task is completed, the reward obtained is worthy of the time and tedious process of this task. You get a copy of Basics of Casting. You get a copy of Yuan's Casting Secrets. You get a copy of Tang Men Machinery Technique. You get a copy of Shun Nong's Materia Medica. You get 50,000 taels of broken silver. You get a Songlong Post. You get an employment letter. You gain 3,000 experience points. You gain 100,000 potential points. Congratulations, you have completed all the novice tasks and are now a mature hero. The colorful world of Jianghu will be displayed in front of you. There are heroes and villains, and there are traitors and villains. I wish you a happy journey in the world. Mingxie was speechless for a long time. The co-author has lived with this game system for 14 years, all while doing novice tasks. Why does the mission for a newbie in the game take so long? Why haven't you closed down yet? Although I'm cursing in my heart, the novice mission is finally over now, isn't it? Thinking of the final reminder from the system, he clicked into his house. This place is located at number 13, Yudai Village, in the northern suburbs of Yangzhou City. It is 3 feet high in the sky and 3 feet deep in the earth. Both are owned by the landlord. Someone appears at your door and seems to have something to say. Lu Qingyu. Hello, young hero. Are you looking for a housekeeper here? Recruiting a housekeeper requires an employment letter. Do you want to use it? Clicking on the box with Lu Qingyu's name on it will also bring up her profile. She is about 13 or 14 years old. She is as beautiful as a spring flower and as bright as an autumn moon. She can really sink fish and lose geese. Her martial arts skills seem to be superb, and her attacks seem to be not easy. Character details, please check after hiring. At the age of 13 or 14, you come to work as a housekeeper? Child labor? He murmured in his heart, but without delaying Mingxie's operation, he chose hire a housekeeper with quick eyesight and quick hands. Recruitment successful. Please chat with the butler more and give rewards to increase the butler's loyalty to unlock more butler functions. Lu Qingyu, butler, thank you, master, for your trust. From today on, I am your butler. Vigor and blood. 18,000/18,000. Internal strength. 30,000/30,000. Loyalty. Respectful to the master. 116/200. Characteristics. Lively and lively. Martial arts used. Bibo heart technique. Shadow. Floating fragrance body technique. Falling heroic sword. Falling divine sword palm. Jade flute sword technique. Orchid acupuncture hand. Employment price. 180 tales of broken silver/day. Life experience information. Quite mysterious. There are 6 buttons on the personal interface. Conversation, rewards, house affairs, recruiting servants, house improvement, and servant management. But now only the first 3 buttons are on, presumably because of lack of loyalty. There is no business in the house now, but after Tsin Mingche persisted in chatting with Lu Qingyu and gave rewards, she finally opened up the later functions, and her loyalty reached more than 200. Loyalty. Loyal to the master, 317/500. Lu Qingyu, butler master. Now you can recruit servants. Here's my curated list for you. Tsin Mingche picked and chose an old farmer named Hua Feng and a maid named Xiu Li, both with a daily salary of 20 taels of silver. The list Lu Qingyu gave him also included a series of different servants, such as cooks and book boys. Lu Qingyu, housekeeper if the master wants to recruit some retainers, blacksmiths, etc. with special skills. He needs to hold the Songlong post and go to Yangzhou Academy to find Kang Langxing, and he will recruit them for you to a course. There must be corresponding rooms at home. After today's business was over, Tsin Mingche immediately recruited a guest, and the guest room at home had an owner. One Jianming, resident, thank you for your trust, master. You can let me do any tasks you have. He looks to be in his early 20s. His eyes are bright and shining, giving off a breathtaking light. His martial arts look superb, and his moves seem very subtle. Vigor and blood. 12100/12100. Internal strength. 15300/15300. Loyalty. Respectful to the master. 146/200. Characteristics. Kind and peaceful. Martial arts used. Tianzong, finger wrap, sword technique, Tai Chi Gong. Employment price. 100 tales of broken silver/day. Life experience information. Family of farming and studying, quite talented. Under the doorman's details page, there are only 4 buttons. Conversation, reward, dispatch, dismissal. Conversations and rewards are used to increase loyalty, and dismissal means that the retainer will no longer be used. But what is this dispatch used for? Out of curiosity, Tsin Mingche clicked. Insufficient loyalty means the retainer cannot be sent to the player's world. Please increase the loyalty of the retainer as soon as possible. Shot from aside. What this means is that as long as the loyalty is enough, the retainer can be summoned to the real world, to his side. This means that in the future, he will have subordinates who are excellent in martial arts and absolutely loyal. And all he needs is a little time and resources to increase his loyalty. What a good deal this is, with guaranteed profit and no loss. Tsin Mingche suppressed his inner excitement and raised everyone's loyalty to the highest level that day before reluctantly exiting the game. He will never betray, and he is also outstanding in all martial arts. What a beautiful scene from the 3 gangs of men. Tsin Mingche was so excited that he tossed about half the night before falling asleep. When he woke up the next day, Thuja reminded him, and he remembered that concubine Liang wanted him to meet the girl from Duke Ligua's family today. Your Highness, please wear this robe today. Your Highness is already handsome, and dressed like this, he looks even more handsome and handsome. Aren't you going to charm this little girl to death? Aunt Fong said with a smile. Tsin Mingche actually didn't care, but seeing how enthusiastic the palace officials were about this matter, he let them go. It would be better to tidy up more delicately, to show that you take this matter more seriously, and to make your mother and concubine happy. While he was tidying up, Jinsong walked in quietly, with a hint of sadness between his brows. Your Highness, over in Liaodong, the concubine of the Chao family has been sent in. What do you think of the arrangements? Who? Sin Mingche thought for a while before pulling out such a person from the corner of his memory. Find a small room in the backyard, and don't pay too much attention to it. Needle Song grimaced. It's true. Concubine Chao still insisted on bringing her maid in. Your Highness, you also know the rules in this palace. And then she refused to let her go. Sin Mingche frowned slightly and ordered coldly. No need to indulge her, just play by the rules. Yes, then, do you need someone to take care of Concubine Chao? After all, she is a young lady, so she probably won't be able to do menial work. I'll just hire a third-class palace maid to take care of her. Sin Mingche waved his hand and said impatiently. Looking at his attitude, the people below knew how to treat Chao's concubine. Jinsong simply agreed, turned around and retreated, ready to deal with the people. Snort, are you still there bossing around? Our Highness doesn't take you seriously at all. I thought I was something. Do you know what, as soon as you enter the palace gate, you are as deep as the sea? Do you still think you are at home, with your parents pampering you? After tidying up, Sin Mingche went straight to the harem, nominally to pay his respects to concubine Liang, but actually to participate in an ancient blind date. Unexpectedly, halfway through the journey, they met several maids from the queen's palace, and the leader was none other than Jia Yuanshun. I have seen the Third Highness. Jia Yuanshun is now wearing the clothes of a female official and accessories that match her status, but she still does not hide her beauty. Sin Mingche nodded to her. Mr. Jia is looking for me. What's the matter? Inside Quanshun Palace, there was a little girl sitting next to concubine Liang, and they were talking and laughing. The girl is no more than a young girl, and her eyes are still childish, but she can already see her beauty that will captivate the entire country when she grows up. The eyebrows are like distant mountains, the eyes are like autumn water, the face is like peach blossoms, the lips are like red paint, the skin is like gelatin, the temples are like crow's wings, the smile is beautiful, and the beautiful eyes are looking forward to it. It's just that this stunning girl has an air of arrogance about her. Although she was as good as a rabbit in front of concubine Liang, the arrogance revealed in her bones could not be hidden from the eyes of a shrewd person. Aunt, didn't you say that you raised a red pot of 18 bachelors? Please let Xianghan take a look. Concubine Liang looked relaxed and pampered. What's so difficult about this? But the flower pot is too big to move. Why don't we two go over and take a look? That's exactly what I mean. Two beauties walking hand in hand. In this cold spring, it is really a scenery more beautiful than flowers. 18 bachelors is a rare camellia. Naturally, it cannot be left in the garden to be exposed to the wind and sun. Instead, it is carefully maintained in the greenhouse. Open tiles are used on the roof and windows of the greenhouse so that flowers can grow well inside. There's not only a pot of 18 bachelors inside, but also famous products such as Scratch Beauty Face, Golden Flower Tea, Red Pill, Hua Helling, Qixin Tea, etc., which are only inferior to 18 bachelors, just a little bit inferior. The camellias here are the best I have ever seen. Lu Xianghan served concubine Liang with a smile and sat down, pouring tea with her own hands and serving it. The poem says, there are beautiful trees in the southern country, and the flowers are like red jade cups. There has never been a winter or a spring, and they often bloom in the snow. It is really very clear, very elegant, and very beautiful. Concubine Liang chuckled lightly. Do you like this flower? Of course I like it very much. If you become my daughter-in-law, I will give you this flower, okay? Oh, aunt. Lu Xianghan blushed. Just as he was talking, the palace people spread rumors that the third prince had arrived. Concubine, I'm here to say hello to you. Chunwei opened the curtain herself and welcomed Sin Mingche in. Who is this? Sin Mingche can be regarded as asking questions knowingly. She's your uncle's little daughter. Concubine Liang covered her lips and smiled. That's all. I'm afraid you little girls and boys have nothing to say to me, an old woman, so why don't you take her to the imperial garden for a walk? Sin Mingche hurriedly said, How can I be an old woman, my concubine? She is obviously a fairy. Lu Xianghan also said anxiously, Who am I? If compared with flowers, I am still a little bud. How can I compare to my Aunt Toomey in full bloom? The two sang together, making concubine Liang laugh. Okay, you two go out for a walk. Just remember not to bump into other people. Gee, isn't this the ancient version of blind date? Sun Mingche blinked and looked at Lu Xianghan with a smile. Miss Lu, please. Lu Xianghan lowered his eyebrows and closed his eyes, and the two of them went out side by side. Watching the two of them go away, concubine Liang pulled Nanny Chin beside her with a loving smile, and said with a smile, "Look at the two of them. Are the boy handsome and the girl beautiful? They match each other perfectly. Your Majesty is right. They will definitely become a couple in the future." The people in the room thought well, but they didn't know that there was actually no harmony between Sun Mingche and Lu Xianghan. It turns out that Lu Xianghan has been pampered since childhood, very arrogant, and has great ambitions, and wants to be the most noble woman in the world. The queen, and even the queen mother. But she also knew that her thoughts were ulterior, so she just thought about it over and over in her heart. Today's emperor is old, but his sons are just the right age. With the power of the Ligua family, she should be able to marry whomever she wants. Therefore, in her opinion, the third prince, who was adopted into the lap of his aunt, had to please herself. Sun Mingche felt baffled. In his opinion, this is just a blind date, and it is also a political blind date. After all, what is important is that he and Duke Li are bound more tightly for mutual benefit, and this marriage is like a cooperation agreement signed by both parties. In other words, he must marry a daughter of the Duke Li's family. The more noble his status, the more sincerity he shows from the Duke's family. As long as they don't dislike each other too much, this engagement is inevitable. He just needs to correct his attitude. There is no need to rush to please anyone. Because of the cognitive differences between the two, this blind date can be said to be a failure. Sun Mingche felt that he was polite, but Lu Xianghan was too cold. Lu Xianghan felt that Sun Mingche was cold and taciturn, and simply despised her. Therefore, the atmosphere became more tense later on. Sun Mingche couldn't help but think of what Jia Yuanshun said to him when he stopped him before. The Lu girl and I are of similar age, so we naturally know each other. Miss Lu's appearance is several times better than mine, but her personality is arrogant. I hope your highness will consider it carefully. It turns out that because Jia Yuanshun was born on the first day of the first lunar month, he was said to have great potential since he was a child. After Lu Xianghan found out, he secretly became his enemy. But Jia Yuanshun was not as good as Lu Xianghan, and Lu Xianghan secretly laughed at her after knowing that she entered the palace as a female official. It can be said that the two have been feuding for a long time, but they were worried about their image and didn't want to break up. No wonder Jia Yuanshun would speak ill of Lu Xianghan in front of Sun Mingche. The key point is that what she said was fair and above board. It didn't sound like she was hurting someone in secret, but rather like a kind reminder. The two strolled around for a while and returned to the palace. The atmosphere was very awkward and the dinner was boring. Neither of them had a good impression of the other person, but they were quite moved by the interests the other person represented. Aunt, His Highness the Third Prince doesn't seem to like me very much. In the evening, Lu Xianghan sat next to concubine Liang, looking like she was about to cry. How could it be? How could he not like a beautiful girl like our Xianghan? Concubine Liang gently lifted her temples. Chair has never liked a woman at this age. How can he have any experience in pleasing a little girl? In fact, he probably doesn't know how to love you. Lu Xianghan's almond-shaped eyes widened, looking innocent. Aunt, is this really the case? Of course. How about you? Do you want to be my daughter-in-law? Aunt, just like this, Sun Mingche's marriage was decided after just one question and one answer. In terms of interests, this is a perfect combination. Is Lu Xianghan still assigned to His Highness the Third Highness? Jia Yuanshun sat in front of the bronze mirror, holding Qin and carefully combing her hair. Well, no matter how you think about it, His Highness is a good choice, but his wife is that dominatrix. Jia Yuanshun frowned slightly. The First Highness and the Second Highness have already left the palace and opened their mansions. If I go in now, I will just compete with other women for favor. If you want to get a place, you can only follow His Highness before his wedding. It would be best to gain his love and even have a child. In this way, even if Lu Xianghan, that Yiksha spirit, becomes the third prince's concubine, there will be nothing that can be done to me. Baoqin pulled up Yunchuan's long hair and softly agreed. Girl, whatever you wish for will come true. Sun Mingche didn't know that she had become a piece of Tang monk meat in their hearts, and every female fairy wanted to get a piece of the pie. All he knew was that he was going to serve in the government. That's the most important thing. Career is the most important thing. Love and love are not important compared with rights. Lin Rahai is now the censor of Yuqiandu in Yushitai. The Yushitai is a position where you can find fault with the emperor and officials all over the world. The censor of Yuqiandu was one of the leaders of the criticism. The censors find fault with others, which is called impeachment. This is their job, that if you don't have enough bullets, you will be suspected of being passive and sabotaging your work. Now, Sun Mingche is working as an intern with the third-in-command in this department, which specializes in finding fault with people. Honestly, it's a good department. After all, since you want to find fault with others, you have to know how their jobs should be done. In other words, if you want to find bugs, you need to know what the system looks like when it is running normally. This is the fastest functional department to understand the operation of various departments of the imperial court. Knowing that Sun Mingche was crammed in here, the eldest prince and the second prince secretly broke many porcelains. Emperor, we are all your sons. Why are you so partial? The eldest prince went to Dali Temple to listen to politics. The second prince went to the Ministry of Rights to listen to politics. One is the prison department, and the other is the etiquette department for idle slaps. Why can the third prince enter the Yushitai? Could it be that the emperor really liked him as the prince? Are you training him now? Why? The eldest prince, Sun Mingyuan, was the angriest. Obviously, I am my father's eldest son. My father should value me the most. Why should Sun Mingche do this? The queen closed her eyes in annoyance. That's enough. What's the point of all your fussing here? Could this make your father like you more? It's hard to achieve great things if you are restless. Sun Mingyuan looked up hurt. Mother, do you even say that about me? The queen said in a deep voice. I've been thinking about it. It's probably because you never have a son. What? The queen sighed. You are too weak and have no offspring. How can your father trust you and leave the country to you? Don't be impatient. Your father is in his prime, and we have a long time to come. Sun Mingyuan sat down impatiently. Is he able to give birth to a child if he wants to? Among the women in the backyard, not a single one is up to par. On the contrary, a brothel girl he had doted on became pregnant, but she only gave birth to a daughter. The identity of a brothel girl was not really visible, and she only gave birth to a useless daughter. So Sun Mingyuan gave the girl to his subordinates to raise. Mother, let's not talk about this anymore. We can't let the third child get too proud. We have to think of some way to dampen his spirit. Elsewhere, the second prince, Sun Mingshin, also had the same idea. I thought that Sun Mingyuan was the biggest opponent, but I didn't expect that this kid Sun Mingche should not be underestimated. Sun Mingshin stood beside the painting table and said with great interest, The Yushitai, TSK, the Yushitai is really a good place. What should we do to make him fall down hard? The two parties unanimously targeted Sun Mingche. Within a few days, Yushitai received news that there was a murderous maniac wandering around the capital, and Jing Zhaoyin had failed to catch him many times. Censors have always been very picky, let alone such an obvious mistake here. But the next day, relevant bullets were placed on the long case. Jing Zhaoyin immediately wrote a statement to defend himself and asked the court for help. Logically speaking, this should be a matter of Dali Temple. In other words, the ball was kicked to the eldest prince. Logically speaking, if there is such a sensational case in the capital, I should go and investigate it myself. However, my body is not in good condition, and I can't even leave the capital. In front of the emperor, Sun Mingyuan looked sad and ashamed. Father, why don't you let me go check out the situation for me? He is at the Yushitai now. Logically speaking, this matter should be investigated by the Yuxing to see if the case is complicated, the murderer is cruel, or the officials are just confused. The emperor looked at the eldest prince expressionlessly for a while until he was sweating, and then he spoke. It makes sense. There are people from Dali Temple and Yushitai. Go ask Jing Zhaoyin what is going on. Sun Mingyuan breathed a sigh of relief and simply resigned. In fact, he had known about this case for a long time, but after investigating, he found that the case was bloody and cruel, and the murderer was elusive, making it a hot potato. So, taking this opportunity, Sun Mingyuan pushed the case into Sun Mingche's hands. This thankless task is suitable for digging holes. Sun Mingche was sitting at home, and trouble came from the sky. He had such an errand for no reason. But contrary to what Sun Mingyuan thought, Sun Mingche did not feel angry or embarrassed. On the contrary, he felt that this thing was just right. Because Sun Mingche was still under 16 years old, although he went to the court to listen to the government, he did not leave the palace and open a mansion. It was inconvenient to do anything he wanted to do. Now Pa Chi has a case on his head. Although it is a bit troublesome, it does facilitate his activities outside the palace, and also facilitates Sun Mingche to build his own power. Of course, the best thing is that Sun Mingche can try to summon his disciples from the game system. Since we have to investigate the case, we can't live in the palace, otherwise it will be really troublesome to go in and out every day. Fortunately, Sun Mingche still had a natal family, Duke Li Guofu, where he could stay overnight. The emperor only allocated 10 ordinary guards to him. When the time comes, he will need more people to protect him, and he will have to rely on the Ligua Palace. However, the emperor allowed him to contact the local cabinet guards and ask the cabinet guards to help with the investigation. Jing Zhaoyin was also sensible. Knowing this, he was regarded as the emperor's whetstone for the princes. He immediately handed over all the case files and named 2 subordinates who helped investigate the case. That night, Sun Mingche stayed at Duke Li's residence and browsed the case files overnight to understand the situation. The Sansanjuan in the front yard of Duke Li's mansion was used to entertain Sun Mingche. 3 old pines in the yard, Chui Wei, got its name. No matter in terms of scenery, size, or comfort, this is a perfect courtyard. Sun Mingche went out this time to handle a case, not to enjoy life. So he only took 2 eunuchs with him to serve him personally. The people serving below him were people from Duke Ligua's palace. Sun Mingche was looking through the case files when suddenly a fragrance lingered in his nose. When he looked up, he saw a beautiful maid. Seeing Sun Mingche raise his eyes to look at her, the maid smiled happily and said, "Slave Qingyin is the maid next to the young lady. On the order of my young lady, I came to deliver tea to His Highness." When young ladies from various families reach an age, they always keep a few maids around them, who are used to give birth to children, be pampered, and serve their husbands when they're physically inconvenient. In short, she is preparing to be the intercourse girl. I think this Qingyin is Lu Xianghan, who is preparing to have sex with her husband. Sending her to serve him was actually a blatant show of goodwill. Sun Mingche smiled with interest and motioned for Qingyin to take care of the pen and ink. When you're busy with documents, red sleeves can add fragrance to relieve fatigue, right? Qingyin rolled up her sleeves and polished her ink, revealing a snow-white and plump wrist, wearing a gold armband inlaid with red coral beads, making her skin even more fair and radiant. This red gold jewelry is not something that just any girl can wear. Your young lady dotes on you. Qingyin lowered her eyes timidly. Miss has a straightforward personality and is a very good person. Sun Mingche chuckled with unknown meaning and took Qingyin's wrist in his hand. Your Highness, Your Highness. Qingyin's face was stained with a hint of blush, and she looked even more charming under the lamp. It's warm to the touch, soft and smooth. You can imagine what kind of good leather this maid must have on her body. She's really more delicate than a young lady from a small family. Sun Mingche rubbed it twice with his thumb and released his hand. Okay, let's study the ink. Qingyin's cheeks turned red from being teased by Sun Mingche. Her chest was bumping wildly, and her hand were trembling slightly. His Highness is the future husband of her young lady, and that is the person she will serve in the future. To be so young and handsome, Sun Mingche touched the girl's heartstrings, but he ignored it, looking back and immersing himself in the mountains of case files. No wonder the Yashitai wanted to impeach him, and no wonder Jing Zhaoyin was helpless. This case was really strange and cruel. This is actually a series of skinning cases. Currently, there are more than 10 victims, all of whom are young women with fair and delicate complexions. After an inexplicable disappearance, corpses would be found within a few days. Each one had been strangled to death, and the skin had been ripped off alive. The corpses were all mangled with blood and veins, and it was too horrible to look at. Families who have lost their beloved daughter are also haunted by grief. The death condition of the body was so tragic, and it appeared in public, it even frightened the 2 children who first discovered the body. This incident simply got louder and louder. Everyone was in danger, and the people were uneasy. Jing Zhaoyin was also anxious and panicked. 2 big bubbles appeared at the corners of his mouth, and his eyes were bloodshot. The one who disappeared recently was the daughter of the rights servant of the Ministry of Rights, the eldest daughter of his first wife. The girl took her people to burn incense in a temple outside the city and never came back. The searchers only found her carriage and horse abandoned in the wilderness. Most of the women who had disappeared before came from gentry or merchant families, but this one was an out-and-out young lady. Things are getting bigger and bigger. Sun Mingche looked at the various testimonies and reports carefully, his brows getting tighter and tighter. Many women have disappeared without any clues. Those corpses also seem to emerge from the ground and fall from the sky, and one knows how it appeared. How they disappeared is also a mystery. Some girls disappeared when they went to buy embroidery thread. Some girls disappeared when they went to the bookstore to buy books. Some girls disappeared when they went to burn incense. And some girls helped with a small business at home and disappeared as soon as they went there. Didn't come back. The sky was clear and the sun was shining brightly, but the person just disappeared. When he reappeared, it was just a corpse. Even the skin on his body had been peeled off. If his face hadn't been intact, it would have been impossible to identify him. Rumors spread among the people, and there was even talk of painted skin. In fact, had it not been for the disappearance of the girl from the family of the Right Minister of Rights, Jing Zhaoyin would have been prepared to settle the case in a confused way on the grounds that the painting was causing trouble. Sun Mingche was wary. He has not forgotten that this is the world of dream of red mansions, and there are real monsters and ghosts. Not to mention the vigilant fairy, the scabby monk, and the lame Taoist. Let's talk about Baoyu's godmother, Taoist Ma. Doesn't she have the ability to use paper figures to create mischief? Thinking about how the corpse came and went without a trace, Sun Mingche really suspected something about gods and ghosts. However, what if there are gods and ghosts? Sun Mingche thought of his own game system. With this thing, maybe he can actually fight against gods and ghosts. Just like the scabby monk and the lame Taoist. Although they come and go without a trace, they cannot come in unless they are invited into the house. As for the police fantasy to lure Baoyu into his dream, it must be in Qin Kaching's house. When Ma Daopo casts a spell, she has to ask Aunt Zhao to tuck the paper man or ghost under the mattress. It can be seen that if these gods, ghosts, and monsters want to cause trouble, they cannot do it out of thin air. There must be preconditions. I just don't know if this skinning case is simply due to the sinister nature of people's hearts, or are there demons and ghosts involved? Sun Mingche thought about it again and again, and went back to the palace to see the emperor the next day. After explaining the matter in this way, Sun Mingche made a request. Father, because there may be ghosts and gods in it, and I am daring, I would like to ask you to stamp an imperial seal with a jade seal for personal protection. Oh! Hearing this statement, the emperor suddenly became interested. How to say? Sun Mingche said seriously. My father, the true dragon emperor, is a virtuous monarch who dominates the world and has his own dragon energy to protect his body. The jade seal is the treasure seal of the world and is the gathering of national destiny. If someone is responsible for this, I will not be afraid of him. But if there are mountain spirits and ghosts involved, I still need to use my father's dragon energy to suppress it. The emperor laughed heartily and asked someone to fetch the jade seal to pass down the country. He covered 3 of them, with 8 characters written on each of them. I protect myself according to the order, and all evils will be dispersed. Do your job well. If this job is done well, I will reward you along with the last job. Sun Mingche cupped his fists and saluted. Thank you very much, Father. I obey my orders. After carefully packing these 3 pieces of paper, Sun Mingche decided to take people to see what the situation was like. The first thing I went to was Jing Xiaoyin's morgue. The earliest corpse was discovered 3 months ago. It had decomposed due to too long time and has now been buried. After that, every 5 days, the body of a missing woman appeared in the city. After all, in a few days, there will be corpses again. In the morgue, there are now 10 corpses in total, covered with white cloths, with faint traces of blood seeping out. The white cloth was lifted up, revealing a purple-red body underneath. The light yellow fat and white fascia were exposed, and the body had begun to decay. The face of the corpse is still intact. Although it has been deformed due to death, it can be seen that she was a delicate and beautiful woman during her lifetime. Your Highness, the human skin was peeled off while still alive. The strange thing is that there are not many wounds on the surface of the corpse, as if it was peeled off alive without any struggle. Wu Zhua is an older gentleman with a serious expression and shining eyes. Your Highness, please look at the marks on this corpse. There are signs of muscle contraction, which means that even after being skinned, they live for a while before being strangled to death. The smell in a morgue was very unpleasant, and the corpses were so twisted and dead that even the little eunuch who followed Sun Mingche couldn't bear it. But Sun Mingche looked so calm, listening to Zhua's report in such a place. The bodies of these girls were all found in the downtown area. They were wrapped in red linen inside, with straw mats on the outside, and then tied neatly with hemp rope, just like a package. After inspection, the victimized women were all intact, and they were all strangled to death after being skinned. The fat and fascia were all stained with blood. The skinning technique is very sophisticated and clean. The knife is cut from the spine, and the skin on the back is divided into 2 halves with 1 knife. Then the skin and muscles are slowly separated with the knife, and it is torn open like a butterfly, spreading its wings. As for the method of death, Your Highness, please take a look. Wearing gloves, Wu would gently move the head of a female corpse to reveal the corpse's neck. A dark mark was printed on the muscles that had turned purple. The strangulation marks were in the shape of a dash, passing above the throat and crossing at the back of the neck. The neck muscles were broken. The cartilage was also strangled. The hyoid bone was fractured. There was blood in the throat. The tongue was spit out, and there were blood spots on the whites of the eyes. These are classic features of strangulation. Look at the strangulation marks again. 2 fingers wide and narrow, 1 turn around the neck, and the strangulation groove is an uneven stripe of light marks. The corpse stains are dark purple-red, and the blood is dark red. The officer boldly speculates that the murder weapon will not be a common rope, but something like silk, with a smooth surface and soft texture. Although there is no skin on the corpses, it can be seen from the muscles that these girls were not injured during their lifetime, because except for the strangulation marks on the necks, there are no blood spots anywhere. Sun Mingche nodded. The gangsters are afraid that they are killing people just because of their skin, so how can they be willing to let them get hurt? Wu Zhua nodded and said, Your Highness is wise. The usual reasons for murder are wealth, sex, love, and hatred. There are traces to follow and clues to investigate. But in this case, the murderer was not after money or sex, and he had no grudge against these women or their families. It was actually a physical crime, and he only wanted them to look good. It's so strange. Sun Mingche has also lived 2 lives, so he naturally knows what a serial killer is. Maybe the person who committed the case was such a psychopath. But what method did this murderer use to choose his target? How does he know which girl's skin meets the requirements? And what methods were used to make these girls disappear without a word? It's really foggy. Sun Mingche frowned in thought and walked out of the morgue. Jing Xiaoyin was waiting for him in the flower hall with a group of subordinates. Jing Xiaoyin is a fat, middle-aged man. What he is best at is not solving crimes, but making peace with others. After all, in places like Jinling, there are official protection talismans such as Jia is not fake, and White Jade is a horse for Tangjin. There will only be more powerful dragons in the capital, not less. If everything had to be investigated to the bottom of the matter, to be honest, Jing Zhaoyin, wouldn't be able to last 2 days. Originally, this day was going on normally. When it came time for the assessment, I just had to find a way to change positions. However, such a big case suddenly fell from the sky. This was not something he could just smooth over. Now we welcome so many giant Buddhas. Big beads of sweat rolled down Jing Zhaoyin's fat face, sinking into the goatee under his chin. I have met His Highness, the Third Highness. I wish you all the best. Get up, sit down, and talk. Sun Mingche strode over and sat down on the chair without saying a word. How's the case going? Jing Zhaoyin wiped his sweat and smiled flatteringly. The identities of each deceased have been matched, the bodies have been examined, and people have been sent to visit the place where the girls disappeared. It's just that the host family is making a fuss about taking the body back for burial. Sun Mingche's fingers tapped lightly on the armrest. Huh, that's all. Jing Zhaoyin's eyes rolled around, and he was sweating even more. And yes, the families of these missing girls all live in the east and south of the city. There are no such cases outside the capital, except for the daughter of the right minister of the Ministry of Rights. The other girls who were victimized all come from small families, but they are all well-raised. Sun Mingche saw this in the case file last night. Either she is a girl from a small landowner's family, an embroiderer, or a businessman's daughter. All in all, they're the kind who don't need to do any heavy work. The biggest injury they can usually suffer is a needle pricking their hand while doing embroidery work. Copy down the birthdays and horoscopes of these girls and send them to famous people outside the country to see if there is anything special about them. Sun Mingche gave the order in a leisurely manner. Also, find a girl and ask the hostess of this house if the girl has any birthmarks or scars on her body. Let's ask these people if they have any social interactions with other women. The 3 nuns are nuns, Taoist nuns, and Guan nuns. The 6 nuns are Yapo, matchmaker, master nun, pious nun, medicine nun, and steady nun. Everyone knows nuns and Taoist nuns, and this Guan nun refers to a woman who specializes in divination or fortune-telling. Yapo mainly engages in human trafficking. Matchmakers take matchmaking as a profession, and masters are women with supernatural powers who worship gods. Cumaxian is a typical shispo. The chimpa mostly bridges the private affairs between men and women. The yaupa is a female doctor who knows some medical skills and pharmacology, and the wunpa is a midwife. Although in this era, the defense between men and women is not serious, but he can enter and leave the inner house freely, and he can also know whether there are any marks on these girls. Apart from the mother and the personal maid, there are only these 3 aunts and 6 wives. By the way, the daughter of the rights servant of the Ministry of Rights disappeared while offering incense. Jing Zhaoyin bent over and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Yes, exactly. Sun Mingche raised his eyebrows slightly. Then, did she disappear before offering incense or after offering incense? Which temple did she go to? This. Jing Zhaoyin stammered and couldn't answer. The Fu Cheng behind him couldn't stand it and stepped forward to reply. Your Majesty, he disappeared after offering incense. He went to Shuasian nunnery outside the city in the north. Because the Shuasian nunnery worships the goddess of Luo, it is so named. Sun Mingche lowered his eyes and pondered. Besides, this Shuasian nunnery also appeared in Dream of Red Mansions. It seems to have a lot of contacts with the Jia family. I am afraid it is not a clean place, so it is better to go and take a look. So, Sun Mingche said, according to my previous instructions, we should visit and investigate as necessary, and find someone to come with me to the Narcissus Nunnery to have a look. Just you, take a few people and go with His Highness. Sun Mingche ordered the Fu Cheng who responded to his words. This person seems to be much more useful than Jing Zhaoyin. The group of people went straight to Narcissus Temple. Although the statue of Luo Shan in Shuixian Temple is made of clay and wood, it really has the appearance of as graceful as a startled giant, as graceful as a swimming dragon, and as green waves rising from the lotus, reflecting the morning glow in the sun. Mingche put his hands behind his back and admired it. The old nun in the nunnery and two young nuns stood at a distance in a submissive manner. Naturally, there was no need for Mingche to ask these people personally, so Fu Cheng led people to ask them to get to the bottom of things. "Your Highness," I asked, "it was 10 days ago, on the 3rd day of April, that Miss Sun came to Shuixian Nunnery, burned a stick of incense, had a vegetarian meal, and left afternoon." Mingche thought for a while and asked, "Then, where was the carriage found?" "In the woods 2 miles away. The reins were untied and the horse ran away." "Were the people following their young lady?" "The coachman and the 4 women were all killed, and the young lady and the maid were all missing." "Oh, how did those people die?" "It's very strange. It seems that those who were killed without any resistance had their throats cut with a knife." Thinking about it this way, the murderer might have used some kind of anesthetic. Otherwise, it would be difficult to explain why neither the coachman nor the woman resisted, and the girls were skinned off without any struggle. Is there really some miraculous means? Go and investigate immediately to find out which aunts and ladies the Sun family has contact with, and then compare it with other families. Also, do they worship any idols? I would like to ask again, during this period, has anyone come to Shuixian Nunnery to place an order to stay? Fu Cheng asked cautiously, "Your Highness, do you suspect that someone used his identity to gain access to the back house to deceive the women's trust, then kidnap them, skin them, and strangle them to death?" "Exactly." Fu Cheng was greatly shocked. "But what is this person trying to do?" Mingche sneered. "Obscene and evil sacrifices are nothing more than this." Fu Cheng thought for a moment and suddenly realized something. Could it be that it's used to sacrifice demons and ghosts? Oh my God. Something needs to be made of human skin as a tribute. So, I'm afraid it's not a righteous god, but an evil demon. Mingche had a gloomy face. "MD, I'm most annoyed by cults. If it is really a sacrifice to evil spirits, the person who committed this case may not be one person, but a group of people." He raised his eyes and looked at the statue of Luo Shan. The statue's clothes are exposed to the wind, making it lifelike. The officers, like wolves and tigers, sealed the Shuixian temple from the front and back and guarded it everywhere. The experienced officers took the lead and searched it inch by inch. Of course, with Mingche here and it being such a big and important case, no one dared to reach out randomly. What if what is secretly hidden is important evidence? Do you still want the head? If you don't search, you don't know. In the old nun's room, a ledger was found in which were written all the bills on how she helped match women from various families and handled all kinds of private affairs. There are also 1,000 taels of silver and some gold and silver jewelry. Okay, what a good, old, pious woman. Mingche looked at the account book, then at the old nun, and sneered again and again. The old nun was so frightened that she collapsed to the ground like a puddle of mud. 2 pretty little nuns stood aside, shivering like lost chickens. "Your Highness, something has been found. Your Highness, help." It turned out that when the guest room was searched, the leading officer was knocking here and there and unexpectedly dug out a statue of a god from the seemingly uninhabited room. The statue is entirely carved from peach wood and is very delicate. It is a woman. The dimple smiles with spring peaches, the cloud bun is piled with green, the lips are blooming with cherry blossoms, the pomegranate teeth are fragrant, the slender waist is beautiful, the fragrant jade seal script is fragrant, the phoenix is in the sky, and the dragon is flying, the eyebrows are furrowed, and the desire to speak is still there. As soon as the statue is taken out, people will be dazzled and their hearts will be shaken. A group of police officers looked obsessed. Their eyes were blurred, they were swaying, and they were about to fall asleep. The old guard was quick to see the opportunity, pinched himself hard, turned around and ran away, came to Mingche and made a hurried report. I wonder what kind of mountain spirits and ghosts are pretending to be gods and performing such cruel sacrifices. Not knowing what he thought of, Sin Mingche pressed the 3 pieces of paper in his arms. The pieces of paper covered with the jade seal passed down from the country, and with the emperor's imperial pen, writing "Protect yourself by order, all evil spirits will be dispersed." At the same time, Sin Mingche was using his inner strength and mental skills to prepare for a reaction at any time. The door to the guest room was wide open, and the government officials were lying on the floor with dreamy smiles on their faces. The peachwood statue was placed clearly on the table, with its face facing the door. Sin Mingche glanced at it and met the statue's eyes. Suddenly, the internal force in his body spontaneously formed a barrier, and Sin Mingche suddenly heard a dang sound, like a bell, which shocked him to clear his mind. At the same time, the paper in his arms also emitted a burst of heat, protecting his body. The statue fell backwards as if being hit by a heavy object and fell to the ground with a clang. In an instant, the 2 sides had already had a confrontation. Sin Mingche was also shocked. Sure enough, there really are all these mysterious things in this world. He took out a piece of stamped paper, put it in his palm, and carefully picked up the statue. However, the idol, which had not been damaged at all despite being beaten, had scorch marks the moment it came into contact with the printing paper, as if it had been scorched by the paper. Seeing this, Sin Mingche immediately wrapped the statue with the paper and asked someone to bring a box, put the statue in, lock the outside, and put a seal on it. At this time, the government servants who had fallen asleep gradually woke up one after another, each of them stroking their sore heads with residual silly smiles on their faces. When I asked, I didn't know anything, I just knew that I had a sweet dream. Dream? Sin Mingche's heart moved. Think again that the statue is a beautiful woman. Isn't this a vigilant statue? It's amazing. Jing Huan's autobiography says, "I live above the sky of Lihan, in the Sea of Sorrow, in the illusory realm of Fangchun Mountains, Xiangshan Cave." She is the fairy Jing Huan. She handles the world's romantic affairs and moon debts, and controls the world's women, resentments, and male idiots. Sounds like a fairy, but now it looks like a monster. How can any serious god ask his followers to kill people and skin them for him? He is not an ancient god who cannibalizes people and drinks blood. Continuing the search, there are no other suspicious objects in the Narcissus Temple. But even with the things the old nun did, she didn't get any good results. The Narcissus Temple was sealed up like this. The government officials escorted the nuns in the nunnery, and the group returned to the capital together. "Your Highness, since this monster has some skills, we are all mortals, so I'm afraid we won't be able to deal with it." After hearing what happened today, Jing Zhaoyin was so frightened that he trembled all over, laughed, and stammered. "Your Highness, I wonder, is there any way to prevent us from being affected by this demon?" Sin Mingche thought for a moment as he thought about the scorched statue of the god with the cinnabar jade seal. You take the official seal, dip it in cinnabar seal mud, stamp a few seals, give 1 copy to each of the people below, and take it with you to protect yourself. Then, have someone wear this protective seal and capture all the aunts and wives that the suffering master's family has come into contact with. I would rather catch you by mistake than let him go. What? Are there really ghosts? Sin Mingyuan frowned and took a deep breath. The right minister of the Ministry of Rights, whose surname is Sun, belongs to him. He knew about this case because the eldest daughter of Sun Shilong's family was originally going to be given to him as a concubine. As a result, the person was gone, so Shilong's Sun naturally came to explain to him. In this way, Sin Mingyuan roughly knew the ins and outs of this case. He just wanted to blame this case on Sin Mingche. When the time comes, once the eldest daughter of the Sun family dies and there is further trouble, no matter whether the case is solved or not, Sin Mingche will be accused of unfavorable performance. Sin Mingyuan listened to politics in Dali Temple, and it was not for nothing. He could easily bribe a few petty officials. Sin Mingche did not want to cover up his case handling process, and the news reached Sin Mingyuan's ears that day. "Did you see that evil statue with your own eyes?" "Yes, I saw it with my own eyes." The official nodded and bowed, vowing to do so. Just by looking at each other, a whole group of people fainted. Even if their heads were knocked on the ground, they couldn't wake up. As a result, His Highness the Third Highness came face to face with the statue, and the statue fell off the table, and all those people woke up. Sin Mingyuan knew that Sin Mingche went to the emperor to ask for his seal, but he thought it was just a means of flattering him before. Who would have thought that it would actually work? Is it possible that all the dragon energy and national luck are all real? Should he also ask his father for a share? What if he encounters it too? But if this demon is really effective, even if the tribute he wants is human skin, he will agree, as long as the woman in his backyard is pregnant with his son. On the other side, how's his check going? The second prince, Sin Ming, was deeply involved in the affairs of the Ministry of Rights, and his family background was not as good as that of the eldest prince. Naturally, his manpower was not as wide as that of the eldest prince, but he also had a hand in this matter, secretly revealing what Sin Mingche had tracked down to the people behind the scenes. Yes, Sin Mingche knew who was responsible for this crime, or he thought he did. Then he sent people to bribe several officials of Jingjiaoyin so that he could get the information in time. After listening to the report from the people below, Sin Mingchen sneered twice. Check it. The clearer the investigation, the more you will know that you have offended someone you shouldn't have offended. What are the lives of those common people worth? Haha, I'm just waiting to see you lose the big for the small. As he spoke, Sin Mingchen crossed his legs and hummed a tune. Sin Mingche, who was being cared about by both parties, was writing a book. Sin Mingche's father was not only his father, but also the emperor, the immediate boss of everyone in the world. Therefore, for the errands ordered by the emperor, not only must they be done in a timely manner and well, but the progress must also be reported according to the pace. Especially behind this case, there may really be mountain spirits and ghosts causing trouble. Sin Mingche wanted to ask for 2 more. The emperor had amulets stamped with the imperial seal. Moreover, the 3 ants and 6 women involved in those suffering people are a large group of people, and arresting them makes a lot of noise. In order to prevent someone from impeaching him for disturbing people's livelihood, it is better to say what needs to be said in advance. Waiting on the pen and ink on the side is the same maid named Qingyin. Sin Mingche put down his pen and put the written note aside to dry, and happened to notice Qingyin's hand. Qingyin has a pair of beautiful hands, with straight and slender fingers, soft palms, and round and full fingernails, like pink pearls. The ring finger and little finger have long nails, like onion tubes. Qingyin, do you usually serve your young lady with pen and ink? Qingyin trembled and whispered. Lu Xianghan's nature is very cruel. She prides herself on her beauty, so she is not afraid to use beautiful maids, thinking that they can bring out herself. But she had a volatile personality. Once she got angry, she would prick the maids with fine needles, or even whip them with a whip covered with fine needles. This leaves no trace, but makes people feel painful and itchy. Qingyin was really frightened by Lu Xianghan's beating. Seeing this situation, Sin Mingche knew in his heart that his future princess might not be easy to get along with, and he couldn't help but feel irritated. But the current situation does not allow him to object or change people. We can only think about how to check and balance her in the future. Tell me about your young lady. Sin Mingche leaned back and half closed his eyes to rest. Qingyin was very knowledgeable, so she went behind Sin Mingche and gently massaged him to loosen his muscles. The lady is a very beautiful person, and she is also very particular in her daily life. She usually drinks Qingshan Maojian, but she also likes lapsang, sochong very much. Qingyin Shushu talked about some of Lu Xianghan's preferences. Sin Mingche closed his eyes and listened, and suddenly asked, "What about you? Qingyin, what do you like?" Qingyin was startled and said quickly, "As long as the young lady is well, I will be happy in my heart." Sin Mingche smiled faintly, grabbed Qingyin's hand, put it in his palm, and played with it. He felt it was delicate, gentle, and very pleasant. Qingyin was both frightened and secretly happy. "Good girl." Sin Mingche let go of his hand, sat up straight. "Practice ink." "Yes." Sin Mingche wrote a love poem dried the ink marks, and drew a simple peony on the edge of the paper. Take it back and give it to your young lady. Just make the girl happy, nothing difficult. From time to time, I send you a love poem, get some knickknacks and beautiful jewelry to send over, and you look like I have you in my heart. But to be honest, he really didn't like Lu Xianghan's character. He was acting like this now more to give face to her father and brother. To put it cruelly, Lu Xianghan is just one of the tools in his alliance with Duke Ligua's government. However, her status is high enough and her external image is good enough, so she seems to be the best tool. And Lu Xianghan didn't want to love her, but the supreme status. To a certain extent, everyone gets what he needs. A little romance is just a whitewash of peace. After sending Qingyin away, Sin Mingche was alone in the study, quietly thinking about the ins and outs of this case. Putting aside the factors of mountain spirits and ghosts, this is a case of believers killing people in worship of wild gods. The method of discovering sacrifices is to go to the victim's home through the aunts and wives who walk around the streets, gain their trust, and then deceive and kill them. What we need to investigate now is, first, which aunts and wives were involved, second, where these people committed the crime, third, whether the women who have not yet been killed can be rescued. There is another missing person, the eldest daughter of the Sun family, the right minister of the Ministry of Rights. The 3 aunts and the 6 wives are not all bad people. People like the matchmaker, the medicine lady, and the stable lady are indispensable in the lives of ordinary people. The Yapo was one of the important parts of the feudal era, and its existence had a certain reason. Sun Mingche didn't want to unjustly accuse a good person, and he didn't want others to take this opportunity to criticize him, saying that he disrupted the normal life of the people. Also, Sun Mingche must find out whether the eldest prince and the second prince did anything in this matter. Otherwise, do we have to wait for someone to stab us in the back in a daze? The next day, Sun Mingche went to Jingzhao Mansion early. Probably because he had a clue about the matter, Jing Zhaoyin was in good spirits today, with a smile on his fat face. I have met His Highness. Your Highness is in good spirits today. I wonder where Your Highness will start checking today. Sun Mingche glanced at him. Have you done all the things I ordered before? It's done, it's done. Everyone who should be arrested has been arrested and locked up in the cells of Jingzhao Mansion. Jing Zhaoyin nodded and bowed. The official seals for personal protection have also been distributed, and everyone has one in their hands. Sun Mingche nodded. Very good. Let's go and interrogate those aunts and wives first. Jing Zhaoyin quickly stopped him. Your Highness, this prison, it's not clean. The environment is really not good, so don't go in. Oh, if I don't go in, I'll leave it to you to judge. Shagwan. What Shagwan means is that we find a room, bring people up one by one, and ask what you think. Well, let's do that. At the same time, Sun Mingche winked and asked his guards to follow him to pick up the person. Jing Zhaoyin's face began to sweat again. Sun Mingche glanced at him and sneered inwardly. This Jing Zhaoyin might have taken refuge with his second brother. I don't know what kind of tricks this is trying to do. In fact, when he and Jing Zhaoyin were interrogating these 3 aunts and 6 wives, Sun Mingche had already quietly sent people to search these people's homes. As long as you find the idol, the truth will come to light. There is no need to grind your tongue here. Sun Mingche just wanted to hold Jing Zhaoyin back. After going through the trials one by one, a lot of things came out. Although they had nothing to do with the case, they were still violations of the law. Your Highness, spare your life. Your Highness, spare your life. A Yappa was dragged down crying. Sun Mingche did not tell them what case he was asking about, so those who had ulterior motives became frightened. They were suddenly caught in a dark and dirty prison with rats running around, and the officer guarding them didn't say a word. Suddenly, he was pulled out again and had to face the interrogation of a dignified prince. Scared to death, the person who was dragged down just now was a private tooth. Yapo, what he does is human trafficking. Guanya is engaged in official business, and the people who sell are often the whole family who have been convicted, or they buy it themselves, and the background is generally relatively innocent. This is not necessarily the case for illicit gangsters. Many of them are involved in human trafficking, and they're basically the downline of kidnappers. This private tooth is no exception. Sun Ming-che hated kidnappers the most. When a sale of people is legal, even though she feels uncomfortable, Sun Ming-che can try to accept it, and at most he can be nicer to his servants. After all, this has something to do with productivity, and it doesn't mean he can change it if he wants to. But it's one thing to voluntarily sell one's body or one's children, but it's another thing to be trafficked. The children of a good family are in good health, have a happy family, and live a normal life happily, but the child was abducted by a kidnapper. Or sell it to someone else and serve them in fear all day long. Or they were sold to poor families as sons or child brides, and their lives plummeted as if they were soaked in bitter water. What's more, if you sell it to those dirty places, it will be over for the rest of your life. This kind of thing cannot be eradicated even in modern society, but this does not prevent Sun Ming-che from dealing with them now. It just so happened that I took advantage of this opportunity to sort out all of them one by one. After a round of interrogation, although there were no clues related to the case, several people were found to be traffickers, as well as devout women who forced girls into prostitution. Jing Xiaoyin breathed a sigh of relief, sat down, and wiped the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Sun Ming-che glanced at Jing Xiaoyin with a half-smile. Does Jing Xiaoyin feel tired? Don't dare, don't dare. Your Highness is not tired yet. How dare you say you are tired as a subordinate? Sun Ming-che knew that Jing Xiaoyin also had a guilty conscience, so he was so nervous just now. Now he relaxed, probably because he didn't find anything out in the trial. But Jing Xiaoyin didn't know that Sun Ming-che had already sent people to search door to door with a list and detailed information. If he knew, he wouldn't relax so early. In the afternoon, about 30 people were interrogated, and suddenly a guard came to report to Sun Ming-che. Reporting to Your Highness, the search has been completed. A total of 26 households, 3 nunneries, and 1 Taoist temple have been searched. After investigation, 6 families were suspected of human trafficking. 3 families were suspected of forcing girls into prostitution, and 8 teachers and wives were not suspected. However, among the private media, 3 houses found similar idols and scrolls. 2 were midwives, and 1 was a doctor. And 2 of the 3 nunneries found similar items. Although the rest of the people have minor offenses, it is normal in the market. Whether they should be forgiven or not is left to His Highness to decide. With that said, he presented a stack of lists and case files. They had all been sorted out and handed over to Sun Ming-che for review. Then keep those involved and interrogate those who haven't been tried. Don't bully others. There's no problem at all. Let him go now. If it's a bit overwhelming, let me see the situation and then decide. But the environment should be tidied up and the meals should be served properly. As for those who traffic in people, force girls into prostitution, and kill people, just let them stay in jail. The internal warden took the document and handed it to Sun Ming-che. What a heavy pile. The prison cells at this time were not like those in some countries, where they talked about human rights. Sometimes when someone is arrested and they can't care about it for a while, they just stay inside. When eating, one can only say that one will not die from hunger. When sleeping, there is draft from all sides, and it is cold in winter and hot in summer. If no one comes over every once in a while to bring some food, people may be gone before the case is heard. This kind of death is called death. Sun Ming-che's warning meant that I couldn't care less about cleaning up the small mistakes. So you should keep an eye on me and don't let anyone die because of me. As for those who abduct people, force girls into prostitution, and kill people, if death is done to them, it can be regarded as a good death and it will be easier for them. Jing Xiaoyin's face and head were covered in sweat. The more things Sun Ming-che finds out, the more incompetent he is as Jing Xiaoyin. Moreover, regarding this skinning case, Jing Xiaoyin himself was colluding with the second prince, trying to find an opportunity to dig a hole and bury Sun Ming-che in it. As a result, Sun Ming-che was the one who took care of him. Your Highness, this search of people's houses for no reason, no, it's not very good. Sun Ming-che glanced at him. My Highness also obeys the authority in a hurry. Minister Sun's daughter is still in the hands of evildoers. My Highness is really worried. If we are a step too late, we will only see a roll of straw mat in the downtown area again. You said, right? What else could Jing Zhaoyin say? He wiped his sweat while nodding and laughing. Yes, His Highness is right. Your Highness has thought carefully. He complained in his heart, fearing that he would not be able to keep his official title this time. It's really not easy for Mingche, the prince. It would be fine if he had no intention of debao, but since he wanted to grab that chair, all the hard work he had to do now was deserved. This made him want to summon a few people from the system to use it. He doesn't have a government office now, and he doesn't have any useful staff around him, so he has to read through such a thick pile of documents himself. In the game home, as long as you have the Songlong post, you can hire retainers, staff, blacksmiths, pharmacists, and these people, after reaching a certain level of loyalty, can be actually summoned and used by him. Of course, in the future, to govern the country, you cannot rely solely on him to win people over from games, but you still have to cultivate your own confidence. But with just one or two such people, great results can be achieved. The first question now is how to obtain Songlong posts and cultivate the loyalty of existing customers and butlers. These all take time. When he leaves the palace and opens a mansion, he will naturally gather his own forces and have his own manpower. Still can't rush. Thinking about it this way, Mingche took all the things into the system backpack and returned to his game. Home outside Yangzhou City. Lu Qingyu, butler master, you're back. Lu Qingyu, housekeeper master. Nothing happened at home these 2 days, and no outsiders came to visit. Lu Qingyu, housekeeper, I have taken care of all the affairs at home for the master. After a while, I can contact the workers, purchase materials, and repair the house for you. Lu Qingyu, butler, your retainers are ready to perform tasks for you. Do you want to dispatch them? Can be taken out? Upon closer inspection, it turns out that it is not something that can be summoned, but one that can be used to perform tasks in the game and gain benefits. Click Dispatch, and on the page that comes out, there are 3 tasks: bandits causing chaos, snitch rampage, and villain bounty. There is reality summon at the bottom, which is still gray and cannot be used. If you turn your mind upwards, a small floating window will appear, allowing you to see the benefits of this dispatch. All 3 tasks have a chance to obtain Songlong stickers. Let's just say I was waiting for him here. Mingche paid wages to both the diners and the housekeeper, and when his favorability for the day was full, he sent the diners out to do tasks. It's best to bring Songlong Tai back. One jamming, resident, thank you for your trust, master. Since something like this has happened, I am obligated to do so. After saying that, the guest bows to you and walks away. After a while, a homing pigeon flew back. Your guest, when jamming, is on a mission. Snitches are rampant. There are still 2,400 hours, 18 and 55 seconds before the mission is completed. Mingche went to see the housekeeper again. Suddenly, he found an additional frame in the butler's window. Gift. He was curious and clicked on it. You give a stack of documents to the butler. Lu Qingyu, butler, okay. Master, I will sort this pile of documents and put them in your study. Lu Qingyu, steward, it's just that my talent and knowledge are limited, so I can only make rough classifications. Lu Qingyu, steward, if the master has higher requirements for documents, he can go to Songlong layman with Songlong stickers and hire a staff. Mingche was stunned. Looking at the backpack again, the pile of documents he put in to prevent them from being lost was gone. It actually has this function. Lu Qingyu, housekeeper, I am sorting out the documents for you. There's still 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 28 seconds left before the task is completed. Mingche was surprised at first, and then happy. Finally, someone can help share the burden. At this time, when he looked at the 3 words, Lu Qingyu, he felt particularly pleasing to the eye. At this time, Mingche thought of his 3 companions. The first companion is Lu Buohong, the eldest son and eldest grandson of Duke Li, a direct descendant, and the eldest nephew of concubine Liang. The second companion is the youngest son of General Jinghua, named Zhongzhou. The third companion is the younger grandson of the second assistant to the cabinet. His surname is Jia, pronounced Xia, and his name is Lixian. It wasn't that Mingche didn't want to call them over to help, nor was it that he didn't trust them. After all, as the prince's companion, you can basically be sure that you are the prince's person. It's not always a matter of which side the family takes. It's determined by one's personal preference. However, CS Sifu and General Zhong did not choose sides. Then why not let them come to help? Because these three people have just passed the spring examination in March, passed the June examination, and are preparing to take part in the autumn examination. Just like the college entrance examination is still 5 months away, how can Sin Mingche let them delay for his own sake? Besides, if they pass the exam earlier and gain fame, Sin Mingche can make better use of them. So now, Sin Mingche can only read the paperwork by himself. Fortunately, the housekeeper in the game home can help share the burden. Thinking of this, he felt more and more that the game system was his golden finger. Martial arts and poison techniques allowed him to grow up safely, and it seemed that his internal strength could also serve as a protection against those magical techniques. Now he's been sent manpower again. Although he didn't have the ability to shake things up, it gradually gave him all the benefits over time and over time. In the future, as he enters the court, opens a mansion, and takes charge of missions, the benefits brought to him by the game system will become more and more obvious. In this way, the system is more like his biological father than the emperor. Just thinking about things like this, time flies by quickly. Lu Qingyu, butler master, I have briefly processed the documents for you and placed them in the study. If you need to deal with them in depth, please hire a staff. Lu Qingyu, housekeeper, if you need to take care of the study, please hire a book boy. When I came to the study room, I saw several frames. An innocent document that leaves no doubt whatsoever. An innocent document with some doubts. Incriminating document that leaves no doubt at all. Incriminating documents with some doubts. Divided into 4 piles in total. Sin Mingche took it out of the game system and briefly read it. The housekeeper not only helped him classify them, but also made annotations with cinnabar pen in small regular script. Analyzed in detail, well-founded and clear in every word. I don't know how much effort it saved Sin Mingche. Even so, Sin Mingche also watched it in the middle of the night before finishing it in its entirety. The next day, Sin Mingche arrived at Jingzhou Mansion and ordered him to go down and bring all the statues over. Scattered, a total of 8 items were found. There are 5 mahogany statues in total. The big one is over a foot tall, and the small one is half as big as a palm. The postures are different, but it can be seen that they are all carved with the same figure. There are also 3 portraits. There are not only people in the portrait, but also some pavilions and interior furnishings in the background. But see in the painting, where there are red balustrades and jade bricks, green trees, and clear streams, where you can see many people, but not the flying dust. There are beaded curtains and embroidered curtains, painted buildings, and carved eaves. It's impossible to describe the light that shakes the red doors, the gold pavement, and the snow that shines on the windows and jade palaces. There are also fragrant fairy flowers and fragrant exotic herbs. Or in the room, there are everything from Yaoqin, Baoding, ancient paintings, and new poems. What's more, there is saliva and velvet under the window, and the dowry room is stained with powder. Sin Mingche looked around and felt more and more that this wild god who played tricks on ghosts was the so-called alarm fantasy fairy. And the scene in this painting is probably that too unreal. But how did the people sent by Sin Mingche know that this was what they were looking for? It turned out that each of them carried papers with official seals in their arms. Search out the statues and scrolls, hold the paper in your hand, and move it closer. As long as the paper is hot, there's something wrong with that thing. This is how the scroll was found. In fact, these 3 paintings look very similar to ordinary pictures of ladies. If the people sent out were not vigilant, they would not be able to find them. These things are beautiful, but it may be a psychological effect. Sin Mingche feels that there is an evil atmosphere in them no matter how he looks at them. Keep this thing. If it confuses people again, I'm afraid there will be trouble. Someone, bring a brazier and burn these things. Since Sin Mingche gave the order, someone naturally came up with a brazier. There was red-hot coal in the brass brazier, and a low flame was rising. Sin Mingche threw the smaller statue in first, but didn't burn. It's strange. Sin Mingche's heart sank. and he threw the scroll in again. If the wood carving cannot be burned, it may be that it has been treated with fire-repellent medicine. But if the ordinary framed scroll cannot be burned, there may be something wrong with it. The scroll was unfolded flatly and spread on the brazier burning charcoal fire. Through the thin drawing paper, you could see the jumping firelight and red-hot charcoal blocks. But it just wouldn't burn. Bring me the scissors. Sin Ming-che wanted to see how mysterious this wild god could be. The people below also saw that the fire could not be burned, and they were trembling when the scissors were brought. I don't know where I found these scissors, but they were small silver embroidery scissors that didn't look right in Sin Ming-che's hand. As soon as Sin Ming-che cut, the scroll spread out like water waves, and then closed as the scissors passed by. His heart sank. This wild god really has some magical powers. But after thinking about it for a moment, Sin Ming-che had another idea. Go and bring me my horse. According to Sin Ming-che's experience of reading stories in his previous life, these wild gods who have become ghosts and ghosts are also afraid of something. First of all, they are afraid of official aura and dragon aura. Secondly, they are afraid of civil and military aura. We're official aura and dragon aura. Needless to say, what is this civil and military aura? In short, literary spirit means that if a person really masters knowledge, he will naturally have literary spirit, and the things he is used will naturally have literary spirit. Those mountain spirits and ghosts cannot touch these. The martial energy is more like a combination of murderous energy and blood energy. Like the generals who killed countless people on the battlefield and the old hunters in the mountains, the weapons they used had martial energy in them. The most typical one is the ghost head knife used by the executioner to cut the head to the gap. Sin Ming-che's horse was able to kill dozens of people. If that doesn't work, he will go to Duke Li and borrow the saber he used on the battlefield. He still doesn't believe it. He can't break these weird tricks. After such a fuss for a long time, the news has spread. Sin Ming-che simply asked people to light a big fire in the courtyard, took the pile of things himself, and asked everyone to look at it. It doesn't work. If they make random guesses in private, it will be easier for them to become suspicious and let these things sneak in. This golden horse spear was carried in by 2 people. After all, it is a horse fighting force, and it is a bit difficult for a person to stand on the ground to hold it. Sin Ming-che used his internal strength to pick up the middle part of the horse and played with it twice to get used to the feel. Then, Zhang Feng slashed with one swing. Just chopped the largest statue into pieces from head to toe. Sin Ming-che didn't stop, and Ma Shanru worked hard to open the mountain. He swung and smashed 3 times and 5 times too, splitting all the 5 peachwood statues into broken pieces of wood. The look and feel of the chopping was not like chopping wood, but like cutting butter with a knife. After stabbing it, the peachwood statue seemed to be falling apart, almost shattered into dregs. Sin Ming-che used the tip of the tree to pick up the scroll, put it on the fire, and then stabbed hard. The scroll actually started to burn from the place where the stick's tip penetrated so fast, it was as if the paper had been poured with kerosene. In the third case, after finishing processing the scroll, Sin Ming-che ordered the scraps of wood from that area to be swept into the fire and burned. Who would have expected that when the wood chips suddenly came into contact with the flames, thick pink smoke would emit, and a peach blossom-like fragrance would emit? Your Highness! Where are you, Your Highness? Please, Your Highness, save us. Your Highness, help me. I'm dizzy. No, this smoke is poisonous. It smells so good. I saw the beauty. It smells so good. For a time, cries for help, begging for mercy, and murmurings in sleep came and went. But these thick smoke and scents all walked around Sin Ming-che as if they were afraid of him. Sin Ming-che's face was gloomy, and he no longer hid his clumsiness. With the inner energy in his palm, he suddenly threw a handful of iron sand. The iron sand was scattered like clouds and mist, but didn't even fall to the ground, but enveloped it like a dark cloud. When the iron sand comes into contact with the powder mist, it sounds like boiling oil and water. Sin Ming-che heard a woman scream in a daze. In the blink of an eye, a faint figure of a woman emerged from the pink mist. She had a graceful figure, ethereal and moving, and even her voice sounded like gold and jade, like fairy music coming to earth. "Your Highness, the third prince, Long Sun, why do you need to kill me to death?" Sun Mingche was not afraid. "Oh, you're giving back the lives of innocent people. Your Highness, what you said is ridiculous. The fairy just summoned a few maids to serve me and my sisters." The voice laughed twice and said again, "Now that those girls are serving under our sisters and being able to listen to immortal music and taste immortal delicacies with us, isn't that better than countless others in the world?" "Ridiculous. You will die." Sun Mingche didn't listen to her deception, so he pulled his horse back and stabbed straight in like a poisonous dragon coming out of its hole. The ethereal figure was unable to dodge and was stabbed straight on. With a cry of surprise, it disappeared together with the pink mist. In an instant, the only thing left in the courtyard was the still burning fire and the cadres and guards lying on the ground. "How cunning!" Sun Mingche threw the horse, his chest heaving, obviously very angry. After splashing water to wake up the people in the courtyard and clean up the mess in the courtyard, Sun Mingche asked people to interrogate those people. These are the people whose homes were found with idols. Those missing girls must have been captured by them. A search of their home revealed idols and other strange objects, but no tools for committing the crime were found, not to mention the place where the crime was committed. More importantly, where are the abducted girls being kept? Do they have any accomplices? Is the daughter of Mr. Sun's family still alive? Can Sun Mingche still have time to rescue them all? In all cases, please inquire as soon as possible. Bring up the nun from Narcissus Temple first. The first person to be brought up was naturally the old nun in charge of the nunnery. After staying in the cell of Jingzhou Mansion for so many days, the old nun was dirty and messy, and she was visibly thin. She was almost forced here by 2 guards. As soon as the guard let go, she collapsed to the ground. "Your Highness, spare your life. Your Highness, spare your life." Sun Mingche didn't know whether he was happy or angry. "Tell me, after so many days, do you remember anything? Think about it. Remember it. Remember it." The old nun knelt down tremblingly. "Then say it." "Yes, yes." The old nun took a breath and tried to calm her voice. "The Sun family girl rarely comes to our Shuexian temple. She usually only comes once or twice a year. After all, what we worship in our nunnery is Luo Shun, the goddess of Luo Shui, Luo Bin. Most of the people who worship the goddess Luo are girls or women who are pregnant and want to have a girl. What they want is the beauty of their daughter. Our nunnery is small, and we don't often receive these noble ladies. We usually go to other people's homes to give lectures. On that day, the Sun family came one day in advance to inform us that their girls would come to offer incense the next day. We immediately made preparations. At that time, there was someone living in the room where the statue was found. She was a woman. She looked to be in her 30s. By the way, she also brought a young girl with her, about 13 years old, with a fair face and a shy face. She said she was her daughter. It seemed that they couldn't survive in the countryside and went to the city to visit their relatives. As a result, their relatives went away. They had nowhere to go, so they came to live in my nunnery temporarily. Apart from her, we are the only permanent residents in our nunnery. Please tell me, Your Highness, we really don't have the courage." Sun Mingche frowned. "Let's make things clear first." "Yes, yes." The old nun nodded quickly and continued. That morning, around the end of Chun time, Miss Sun's carriage arrived, bringing with it 2 maids for women and a coachman. When she arrived at my nunnery, Miss Sun first lit incense, knelt and prayed for a long time, and then walked around in the flower forest behind the nunnery. Miss Sun is an honored guest. I have been paying attention to her. She seems to have met a girl from that woman's family, and the 2 talked for a while. The woman later came out to look for her daughter and saw Miss Sun. I saw her bow and spoke to Miss Sun before taking her daughter away. The vegetarian restaurant in Shuexian Temple is also very good. When the prince went out for an outing, he would come to reserve a table, so Miss Sun also stayed to have a vegetarian meal. After the fast meal, Miss Sun left. I don't know anything about what happened after that. We didn't know she was missing until someone from the minister's house came looking for her. The old nun also knew that after the ledgers in gold and silver were found, she would not end well, but there was a difference between being exiled and beheaded in public. She always wanted to give herself a lenient treatment. Where did the mother and daughter go? They both left that day. I don't know where they went. Seeing that the old nun didn't know what to do, Mingche waved her hand and asked someone to take her down. Please, Your Highness, have mercy. They were all pulled away, and the old nun's begging for mercy could be heard from a distance. At this time, a guard came to report. Your Highness, when you interrogate a private media, you will find something. Oh, this private media said that she fell asleep while going to the nunnery to worship Buddha. In her dream, a fairy gave her 10 taels of gold and a scroll and asked her to worship day and night, saying it would benefit her. And then, since then, her matchmaking has become more and more effective. According to her, it's like holding a red thread in her hand. She can usually get whatever she wants to say. What's the price? The price for such a wild god will not be small. Your Highness is wise. The matchmaker said that after more than a month, the immortal gave her a dream and asked her to take a girl who met the requirements to a place where he said he wanted to take in some maids. Where? West of the city, Peach Blossom Temple. And then, because of the matchmaker made a lot of money to thank the matchmaker, but she didn't dare to kidnap a decent woman. So she bought a little girl who met the requirements and sent it over. And then, the woman argued that she only sent girls in and didn't care about anything else. Moreover, the girls she sent in were all girls she bought herself. She had never kidnapped a decent woman and hoped to let her go. Sun Mingche sneered. If women from good families were not abducted, then those girls who were sent in were no longer human beings. Wouldn't it increase the power of the wild god? This is still undoubtedly killing people and arrogating others. Is this Peach Blossom Temple included in the inspection? Return to Your Highness. You are not here. Then what are you waiting for? Why don't you prepare your family, gather your troops, and go to the Peach Blossom Temple? As ordered. Peach Blossom Temple? The Peach Blossom Temple in the west of the city should actually be called Mrs. Xi's Temple. There is a poem that goes, the Chu Palace swept its eyebrows carelessly and wore new clothes, and had no words to say to the late spring. Through the ages, death is the only one. How sad is Mrs. Xi's death alone? This temple was originally built to commemorate Lady Xi, one of the 4 beauties of the spring and autumn period. She was revered as the god of peace. So many girls came here to pray for peace and marriage. It is said that when Mrs. Xi was born, the peach blossoms were in bloom, so she was also called Mrs. Peach Blossom. The Zifufu Temple has naturally become a peach blossom temple. Peach trees are planted in the front and back of the temple. In spring, the peach blossoms are in full bloom, which is beautiful. Recently, it is the season when peach blossoms are in full bloom, and the Peach Blossom Temple is crowded with tourists. Sun Mingche rode a tall horse, followed by a circle of government servants and guards. Your Highness, this is it. With so many people, if the search was blocked, there would be too much movement. Search? Somehow, Sun Mingche had some feeling in his heart. It should be here. Then search it. Seal the temple gates, let the pilgrims stay well, and search door to door. Yes, there were exclamations. Why don't you let us out? What happened? Why are you searching here? I'm leaving. I'm leaving now. Can't you just let me go? I'm telling you, let me out quickly. Do you know whose family we are from? The scene became noisy. Sun Mingche waited for the search results outside the temple gate. Suddenly, a guard hurried out with a troubled expression on his face. Your Highness, there is a noble person in the temple. What nobleman? The eldest princess. Hearing these 4 words, Sun Mingche knew that this must be the hole dug by one of his good brothers. The eldest princess, the sister of his emperor's father, lost her consort in her early years, and then she began to raise her young husband. Not only did she have a whole yard of people who played, and sang, but she also paid the most attention to her beauty and liked to use beautiful maids, but she couldn't bear to see other girls being prettier than her. The key point is that she is already in the 4th grade. How can she still compare with other pretty girls? As she gets older, the eldest princess's temper becomes more and more perverse. The most terrible thing is that this eldest princess is Tsin Mingche's biological aunt and his emperor's father's biological sister. Dear, the emperor's father has a very good relationship with her. This is awkward. Tsin Mingche turned over and dismounted, signaling, "Lead the way. I'll go and explain the situation to my aunt myself. Moreover, maybe this cruel case is related to his good aunt." As soon as he stepped through the temple gate, Tsin Mingche felt a little dazed. The attendant who led the way was missing. The people around him disappeared too. The temple door closed behind him. All you can see is the peach blossom temple in front of you. Tsin Mingche was not timid, sneered, and walked forward. After taking 2 steps, I saw clouds and mist rising from my feet, surrounded by red railings, white rocks, green trees, and clear streams. There is a stone tablet built across the front, with the 4 characters Taishu illusion written on it, and a couplet on both sides, which is, "When the false becomes the true is also false, and where there is nothing, there is nothing." After turning around the archway, there is a palace gate with 4 characters written horizontally on it, saying, "Nya Hai Chin Tian." There is another couplet which says in a big book, "The earth is thick and the sky is high. It is worth lamenting the endless love in ancient and modern times. Crazy men and women resenting women, pitiful romantic debts that are difficult to repay." Tsin Mingche stood and watched, thinking in his heart, "Is this the illusory state in which Jia Baoyu sleepwalked? Ha! As expected, this evil wild god is really the so-called vigilante fantasy. And since it is an illusion, it must be that the soul is here and the body is still outside." Seeing no one around, Tsin Mingche stepped forward and entered the second gate. He saw plaques and couplets on both sides of the auxiliary halls. Several places read, "Infatuation Division, Grudge Division, Chow Cry Division, Night Division, Crying Division, Chungon Division, and Autumn Bay Division are the so-called places where the fate books of women in the world are stored." Tsin Mingche picked up a room at random, but when he pushed the door, it didn't move. It turned out to be locked. He took half a step back, secretly getting angry, and kicked the door. Bang! The door was kicked off, the door leaf flew back half a foot and hit the ground. Entering the door, I saw a dozen large cupboards, all sealed with seals. Look at the seal, there are all the place names of various provinces. Tsin Mingche tore open the seal, picked up a book, and flipped through it. He saw that only the first few pages had writing and drawings on it, and all the pages afterward were blank. It turned out that there were more empty pages than written ones. There are so many women in the world, but how can we describe them all in these few pages? When I was thinking about the original text description, I realized that these booklets all had words. Tsin Mingche was very smart, and he knew that Jinghuan was no better than a wild god. He immediately thought, could it be that only the woman whose fate was in Jinghuan's hands would be recorded in this book? Thinking of this, Tsin Mingche hurriedly flipped through the pages and saw the main volume of Jinling 12 Hairpins, the second volume of Jinling 12 Hairpins, and the second volume of Jinling 12 Hairpins. He immediately took it out and looked at it. The result was the same as the original text. Same. It shouldn't. Since he appears here and has done a lot of things, how can he not change the fate in the original text at all? Unless what he is doing now is not harmful at all. In the original history, he was a dead man. Tsin Mingche was frightened, so he threw down the book and went back. But when you see beaded curtains and embroidered curtains, painted buildings and carved eaves, you can't tell how the light shakes the red doors and the gold pavement, and the snow shines on the Cheon windows and jade palaces. There are also fragrant fairy flowers and fragrant exotic herbs. Although the scenery was nice, it was deserted. Since you invited me here, why are you hiding your head and showing your tail? Tsin Mingche looked around and said loudly, Xiao Xian is really afraid of His Highness and often wields swords and guns. He was injured by Your Highness before, and Xiao Xian is still not well. There was a soft voice in the air. Who are you? The little fairy lives above the sky of Lihan, in the Sea of Sorrow. It is the illusory realm of Fangchun Mountain, Xiangxiang Cave, and the Warning Fairy. She's responsible for the love affairs and debts of the world, and controls the hatred of women and crazy men in the world. Why are you here? I'm just looking for a few pure daughters to share in the fairyland, pick tea and make wine, and entertain myself by singing and dancing. Why do you have to push me so hard? Sun Mingche almost laughed out of anger. Killing people, skinning them, abandoning their bodies in the street, causing people to panic. Why should you blame him for forcing each other? It requires faith, sacrifice, or the most cruel blood sacrifice. Does this look like a serious god? A police fantasy, right? Let me tell you, I will take care of this matter. I guess you won't be able to hold my soul for long. Why don't you see if I can turn your world upside down? After saying that, with a flick of his hand, he took out a firebook from his system warehouse, pulled it over, and clicked. That's right, because the system is bound to the soul, so even in this case, the backpack of the game system can still be used. Please, Your Highness, please stop. With a cry of surprise, everything around him went into a trance, spreading like ripples, and finally turned into darkness. Sun Mingche suddenly opened his eyes. What caught the eye was a green tint. Your Highness, you are awake. I don't know what happened, but you fainted as soon as you entered the door. Hearing this, Sun Mingche cursed Jing Huan in his heart through gritted teeth. You just fainted with a cup of tea, and my subordinates are still guarding the inside and outside of the temple. The eldest princess sent someone to visit you just now. Her Highness is currently resting in the wing. Sun Mingche stood up and spoke solemnly. Okay, I'm going to see my aunt. In the wing, the eldest princess leaned lazily on the beauty's couch. She has a bun with clouds on her head, a burnt blue begonia flower hairpin, a gold silk hairpin inlaid with rubies, and a gold 8-treasure comb. She wears a rouge red satin with peepa sleeves folded over the collar, and a colorful orchid embroidered begonia. Moonlight satin skirt, tied with gold silk begonia and white jade pendant at the waist. A pair of slender hands like mutton fat white jade, dyed with red crow's beaks, mixed with gold powder into rosin, and painted to look like begonia flowers. The little finger and ring finger were also wearing filigree-embedded nail covers. The whole body is decorated with brilliant colors and embroidery, and it is full of magnificence. Meet my aunt. Sun Mingche came to the couch, cupped his fists, and saluted. Ah, the eldest princess has a pair of auspicious phoenix eyes, 2 curved willow leaf eyebrows, a nose like hanging gallbladder, a mouth like red pills, slightly plump cheeks, and a pointed chin. She exudes a delicate and elegant look in her wealthy aura. Santa, what's wrong? Why did you suddenly bring people around here? I was enjoying the flowers. Aunt, there's been a lot of fuss about a case in Beijing recently. After my nephew's investigation, it is related to the Peach Blossom Temple. Is it related? How can it be related? I come here every year to enjoy the flowers, and I don't see anything unusual. The peach blossoms in spring should be large and beautiful like this. My nephew and aunt are suing, but the case is very important, so there are clues, and my nephew will also be searched. Okay, you can check it. You won't even have to check it on me, right? My nephew dare not. Well, that's about the same. The eldest princess chuckled and stretched out her hand to show her long nails, as if admiring the new painting. Okay, Chunxiao, let's go. The wooden maid who stood aside immediately stepped forward and helped the eldest princess up. Others began to pack their things in an orderly manner. After Sun Mingche resigned, he stood in the court, feeling a strange feeling lingering in his heart. Watching the eldest princess and the others meandering away, the strange feeling in his heart reached its peak. Correct. The eldest princess is the emperor's father's sister. Even if she was born just before the emperor's grandfather died, she must be over 30 years old by now. Right? How you look like a -year-old girl. Even medical beauty can't reach this level. That natural girlish lightness. Sun Mingche had an ominous premonition in his heart.